allowed 2 behind on the leg side, so 2 of those will have to be ever so slightly in front of square.
Because that seems to be the plan to Mitchell outside the off stump, trying to encourage him to drive. He what was the word? Eschews that one?
Eschews. ESCHEW. For all those people who like that, that sort of thing.
Tune in tomorrow for Messi Jez's word of the day.
No, this is actually Hendo's word, and I just appreciated it when he used it.
And I think Forty likes to use it as well. Forty's a big fan of eschewing.
Eschew.
Yes, I think so.
It's like elbow. Good mouth workout.
Indeed.
Anyway, he left it alone and it went through to the keeper. Overton's going to go around the wicket. Short pitch delivery. Very quick effort ball there. At 88 miles an hour, Mitchell wisely ducks out of it, and that's the end of the over.
Hombre Nuevo is not happy. He says, my wife has COVID. I have a horrific hangover. And we can't take any wickets currently. Today's definitely not going as planned.
Well, what's your hangover cure, gents?
Is there such a thing?
So long.
My hangover cure is just not to drink the night before.
All right, okay. Hombre Nuevo.
Sleep is usually the best thing if you can manage it.
Orange Lucasade and smoky bacon crisps.
Oh, God.
Hombre Nuevo, they'll do you the world of good.
Smoky bacon.
Is this the Wirrell's patented cure? Is it?
Hey, listen. What doesn't kill you will probably take minutes off your life right at the end.
W.G. Grace appears to be in the crowd.
Yeah. Certainly does seem to be. Leach has bowled a ball onto the leg stump, which Blundell goes back to, maybe one that he maybe shouldn't have done, and it gets forward short leg very interested. But it is tucked away, and I think in the confusion, there's no run.
Well, at least they listened to Jacob and put in a forward short leg. Backward short leg.
As that is more on off stump, but Blundell shapes to go forward, then goes back, then plays the ball back to Leach.
England desperately need a wicket now, don't they? What's the lead? 182. Well, maybe they don't desperately need it, but they want one. That's for sure.
I think Leach certainly seems to be the person most likely at the moment as he comes in again, and that's beautifully looped. Just outside the off stump, Blundell half steps forward, but plays the ball back to Leach, and again, there's no run.
Yeah, I think
it's a fascinating little duel he's got going between Leach and both of these batsmen. Is that slightly wider of the crease? Blundell, big stride forward, defensive shot back to Leach, and there's no run.
I do think they've given Jack Leach his confidence back. I mean, all this talk about the speed of his bowling and the lack of a loop and various things like that, not tossing it up, that all seems to be coming back, and I don't remember it being absent before. I break off.
Yeah, because that is pitching on middle and leg. Maybe too much trying for the wonder ball there, and it's defended to mid-wicket this time.
He's been, carrying the drinks, had various illnesses, been in and out of the team so often that it's not surprising that his confidence has suffered. And I think now he's getting it back.
True. A little too short there from Leach. Blundell rocks back in his crease, plays the ball out to deep cover. Single taken. Blundell will retain the strike. As everything ticks over, or at least he shouldn't. Yeah, he's on 32. Mitchell 18. The lead's 183. Jez.
The person masquerading as the bear says, "I can't stand Mitchell and Blundell. Never seen a more irritating duo than sharing a studio with the Bishop and Hendo." Andrew Miller says, "Can DRS predict the position of the seam? This affects the ball's bounce and direction. The hardness of the ball on the pitch cannot be predicted by this method."
That's very good
my
point.
understanding is that they will take the actual passage of the ball. If it doesn't travel,
then they assume it will go in a straight line.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But I think the point about the bounce is actually a good one as well, because they look out. A lot of those look out, and they are bouncing over.
Yeah.
Overton around the wicket. To Blundell, not a short pitch delivery this time, but just dabbed in front of point, and by the time that Broad deems it necessary to go and get the ball, they've already taken a single. Very much ambling in the field there, wasn't it, you think, Hendo?
Yeah, I'm just wondering if a little bit of spirit has gone out of this England side for the time being. Overton is a hard-working guy. He's trying to put his back into it. But it still looks like a pretty decent wicket for batting, apart from perhaps that odd one that's turning. And I guess New Zealand have got Bracewell to play that role.
Short pitch delivery, which Mitchell just about gets himself underneath, but I don't think that one got up as much.
No, it didn't. Mitchell, I mean, he is deciding against playing the pull shots, generally speaking. 18 off 82, it's a turnaround, isn't it? He's the man who's dominated this partnership with Blundell over the series, but today it's Blundell who's been much more on the front foot in a metaphorical way, although usually on the back foot, literally.
Yep. Again, around the wicket from Overton, and that is hitting Mitchell amidships. That one may be kept a little low, and threw on Mitchell a little maybe quicker than he expected. Just does seem to be the occasional sort of dead spot bounce, really. Not.
Yeah.
Well, that was curious because it came back off his pad straight into the hands of Overton, and I think Overton was about to go up for an LBW shout, and then thought for a moment maybe he got an inside edge on this, and it could be a caught and bowl, but I don't think it's either, to be honest. It's looped back to him, hasn't it?
I don't think it's. That might not be the worst LBW shot you've ever seen in your life, I think. It'll be interesting to see how that looks on DRS. Overton is going over the wicket this time, and that's down the leg side, and Mitchell 3/4 plays a pull shot, but in the end kind of gives up on it just in time to see it go to Billings, and there'll be no run.
I think Mog's having a go at you, Hendo. He says that there was at least one sequel to Alvin Purple made, and like most things 70s, it's not held up well.
No, I mean, some of the comedies, sitcoms that I used to like in the 70s, I watch them now on something like UK Gold or whatever. I thought, what in the least bit funny about any of these?
Yeah, no.
It's strange, isn't it, how your humour changes.
Short pitch delivery, that is bounced like a tennis ball. That's been given as a wide on height. Mitchell would have needed a step ladder to get to that. And if we look into the file of bad workman blames tools, Overton is now looking suspiciously at his footwear. But that has gone, it's not even in the shot.
I like to see Mitchell at the end is leaping up as if he was trying to head it at a corner. And knocking it into the far corner.
The thing to bear in mind with all of this is that DJ Disco Daryl is he's a tall man.
Yes.
Well, that bounced about a quarter of the way down the pitch, quite literally.
Yeah, that was ridiculous.
I think he did mess up his release.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Billings was he was waiting for it to arrive for ages, wasn't he, behind the stumps?
It's kind of looking. Yeah. Mitchell on 18, Blundell 33. New Zealand's second innings total was 216 for 5 as Overton goes back over the wicket. Slightly more accurate, but a dab down to point. And again, New Zealanders quicker than England. And by the time that the ball is just left to roll to the fielder, Mitchell's gone through for a single. And Stokes needs to G up his men here. Bit more energy, a bit more activity in the field.
Yeah, I think
he's making a substitution sign. I think Overton, this might be Overton's last over. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah.
Because that is, not going across Blundell enough. He's just helped it on its way. It's beat Billings and it's beat Fine Leg. And that's gone for 4 runs. I think that particular instance of the Jamie Overton experiment hasn't quite worked. What do you reckon, fellas?
Yeah. It's a difficult one, isn't it? I mean, nothing much happening out there. The 190, so what, they've added 63 this morning now? I was just seeing a replay of that bouncer, and I think he did slide a little bit as he bowled that one. The front foot just slid on.
Oh, you can see on the picture there, one of his studs has completely come out.
It has indeed.
Yeah.
Mind you, I had boots like that for ages.
Aren't they duty bound to go and find it?
Well, I don't know. I suppose it depends whether it came out in the action of bowling, or whether he forgot to put one in this morning. I don't know.
Because if it's embedded in the pitch,
could be useful for England, yeah.
I was going to say, one's bounced and turned at right angle.
Exactly. Yeah, but I mean, I got very, very lackadaisical in my later days of cricket playing, and when studs came out, I just didn't bother changing them. I just left them out.
You don't strike me as being lax that way.
Really, Al? I think you protest too much.
Yeah, no. I mean, I don't know who's in charge of guerrilla merch, but Hendo's face with the word "really" could do something. Leach bowling the next over. That is swept. I think a premeditated sweep by Mitchell. It's gone very fine. They've focused on Mitchell rather than where the ball's gone, and just by looking at the scoreboard, it's gone down to fine leg for a single. Thank you, whoever is in charge, whoever's the director.
I think
thank you.
He's gloved that, hasn't he? It's just gloved that he's managed to get that. He's a little bit fortunate that hasn't popped up. Could have really gone anywhere. But again, that was another good ball by Leach. He's definitely getting this loop today.
Certainly is. As that is on the back foot by Blundell. Punch through to deep cover. And that is another single. I'll be interested to look at his action, because there was talk about whether Leach needed to develop an overspinner. It'll be interesting about whether he's bowling more from a sort of, instead of a 3 to 9 position, a 10 to 2 position, as that is a ball that turns away from Mitchell and he takes the outside edge, and there's a sharply taken single. They've decided that they're going to keep the scoreboard ticking along, and England aren't reacting in a way that you would want them to keep the pressure on. These singles seem to be too easy to be able to take, as that is a ball that spits up from just about leg stump, which forces Blundell to take one hand off the bat, but he gets it down onto the ground very quickly, and there's no run. Leach is asking all of the right questions, as that is defended just in front of a couple of runs off the over. 2-2-4 for 5.
Roger Melly says, so Erasmus gives Mitchell not out when he was, and then out when he wasn't. Perhaps he was trying to even the ledger. Shame that DRS ruined it. Warren says, anyone dropped Blundell yet? Dave Wood says, is there a record for the amount of keepers a team has used in a test? There probably is. Goodness knows what it is. And Mog says, these are smug tweets. In further evidence of my general superiority, I've never had a hangover. And Nestlers just says, snap. It's like bloody Gary never dropping a catch.
Jez, you and I are off. I think it's going to be Jacob, Forthy and Hendo are going to resume for the next half hour. Speak to you later.
Excellent. Tweets are up to date. Cheers.
Hello. Very good, thank you, gentlemen.
Hello, Forthy. How are you? Let me just sort out this screen. There we go for the YouTube viewers. I am Jacob Jafford. Root is coming on the bowl. I'm joined by Hendo and Forthy, and I'll just jingle up the new bowler. When I find a jingle, here it is.
His voice is high-pitched and ginger hair like a picked, but massive runs he has hit, so there's that. Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root.
Introduce yourself.
Joe Root, actually.
Now, Jacob, which of us is on ball by ball?
You are Forthy. You are Forthy.
I thought as much. You started with an authoritative tone, as if you might be. Joe Root gets a reverse swept by Mitchell, and that is going all the way for one of these.
Good start.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very slow start from New Zealand this morning, but it seems to beginning to pay off now, isn't it? With a few more runs flowing a little bit more easily.
It was a little top edgy, though.
I would agree with that. Not everybody has to play the English way. Root over the wickets,
on there?
And that is remarkable. That is bowled very wide of the off stump. It is then reverse swept, but how can I describe it? Almost directly behind, in between wicketkeeper and first slip for 4 more of these.
It's me, Sanshi. It's me, Sanshi.
That's a proper weird one. He's actually gloved it, and then it's come off his glove onto the toe of his bat and gone backwards.
Okay, that's This is a shocking over so far. That's well wide of leg stump and tickled round down to deep square leg, where they pick up a couple. Mitchell moves 31 off 90, and the score's 234 for 5. Licorice all sorts, and none of them tasty so far.
It is shocking over so far, but you feel now that with Joe Root coming on and Jack Leach at the other end, that they're just trying to get through the new ball. They've given up on this one, I think. And they've got 8 overs to go.
Well, certainly Root is not threatening anything apart from...
just using up balls. That's basically all he's doing.
Yeah, you have to feel for Root on that reverse sweep, because if it hadn't gone from glove to toe end of bat, it might have gone to slip off the glove.
It might have done. There's a dot ball in amongst the mystery. So he seems to have settled into a little bit more of a groove there. That's a forward defensive from Mitchell, no run. 1 ball of this rather odd over to go. And that is defended out into the covers. New Zealand 234 for 5 at the end of the 73rd over.
Now, I'm not sure where we were up to on tweets. Was it? Did he say we
up
were
to date?
Up to date. So I think the new one is from Mog saying, "Remember that shit gets wickets," and of course you can get that on a T-shirt or on any other form of merchandise, on a cup, on a shower curtain, on a phone holder, on a phone cover, on an apron, whatever. If you go to redbubble.com and go to Gorilla Cricket, once you get onto Redbubble, you'll find all our designs for all sorts of merchandise.
You can even get it on a jingle, and it sounds like this.
The first thing I learned from Gorilla Cricket, shit takes wickets. Shit takes wickets, inducing a poor shot that don't clear the tickets. Yeah, shit takes...
Really warming into the seat there, Jacob. Well done for spotting the opportunity there for shit gets wickets. First ball of Leach is over. Forward defensive, just played straight down in front of him, no run. They're certainly rattling through the overs. Don't think they want to be fined again, as they were after the first test.
Well,
Leach in again. That one's flatter and fuller. I mean, a better man than me might. What can I say? There was a suspicion about Jack Leach's bowling action very early in his career. And when he throws in that flatter one, the eyebrow might get slightly raised, but probably okay. That one's tickled off the leg by Blundell for a single out towards mid-wicket. He moves on to the 39.
We saw
so this partnership... Yes, sorry?
Sorry, we saw the World Test Championship table about half an hour ago. And not only were England fined, of course, but they have minus 12 penalty points for slow over rates.
Ridiculous.
Don't think we're going to be in that final. Forward defensive from Daryl Mitchell, who has looked by and large solid as a rock all series. And he's upping his scoring rate inexorably as the morning progresses. That one's played down to... back down in the mid-on region, but fielded by Leach.
For context, the next worst team has minus 3 penalty points.
And that one is bowled wide of the wicket, so a bit both sides of the wicket this over from our Jack, not one of his best overs. And that's played out into the covers for 1 run. New Zealand 236 for 5 at the end of the 74th.
Lester says, I felt tired the next day. I presume this is after some sort of drinking exploits, but not rough like others. Poor old Tony Bishop says, I have the mother and father of all bastard hangovers and have had to recommence drinking, and I have to recommence drinking in an hour. Any advice welcome. Listen, can you not just sort of creep upstairs, sort of claiming that you've got a jippy tummy or something, you know, and then you can get away from it all, shut the door, lock the door, and turn on Gorilla Cricket and watch the cricket. You know, it's simple, really. Might upset Mrs. Bishop, but there you go.
It's route time again, and that's played out, no run in the offside, as we see a caption which indicates that Mitchell and Blundell between them have scored 848 runs in this series so far.
I did see an interesting stat about this, which I'll break off with after this ball.
They're rooting again. Aha! And the shackles are well and truly off. That is Foakes. Didn't quite get hold of it, but he got hold of it well enough for a 4 to cow corner.
Yeah, it's a pretty horrible shot, to be honest, but I guess fair enough, because there's no one out there. If there had been someone out there, it would have been a very silly shot.
Pretty safe. That was Daryl Mitchell. That one was wide, coming back a touch. Doesn't matter, it was so wide that it's played into the vacant deep point region for 4 more of these. This is a bit of carnage.
My Mitchell and Blundell fact is that where there is data available, only Shiv Chandapal and Carl Hooper in 2002 against India have faced more balls as a partnership in a single series.
Really great statting, top class statting. That one's stroked into the offside, no run by Mitchell. And they've looked extremely authoritative all season, all series rather.
Wisdom did the statting for me, I'm afraid.
We need a statter. We
Don't
need
apologise.
a statter.
You did the research. They come through for a quick single. A moment of acceleration, as he thought maybe Blundell he wasn't going to get through, but no problem at all in the end. Mitchell moves through to 41. Blundell takes the strike for the last ball of the over.
You say I did the research for you. I went on Instagram, and Wisdom told me.
They're so wise. Is that why they're called Wisdom? Because they're so wise.
They are Wisdom.
It's John Wisdom, wasn't it? Back all those years ago. Joe Root in again. Oh, that's a nice ball, actually. Amongst all the licorice, all sorts. He fooled Blundell there. It's the one that didn't turn, the dog that didn't bark in the night. And it's a dot ball, goes through to Billings, the end of the over. And let's find out what's happening on socials.
Mog says, go hard or go home, Tony. Ombro Nuevo says, Tony, don't bother waiting an hour, just start again now. And Tony Bishop comes back, I am at home, so it'd be hard going hard at home, which all sounds a bit wrong. Possibly true. England are kind of letting this game slip away, I think, by bowling route, and he is bowling such filth. I haven't seen him bowl quite such filth for some time. He's usually a lot better than this.
He usually bowls around the wicket as well. To right-handers.
Point again. Someone who is bowling around the wicket is Jack Leach, who does that funny little shuffle at the start of his run. Comes in. He doesn't really get any momentum through the crease, Jack Leach, as it's all in the bowling action. No run-up to speak of, but you could say the same about Shane Warne. That's a dot ball. Leach in again. A little bit more round arm, that one. Mitchell comes down a couple of steps, ends up playing a defensive shot straight back to Leach, dot ball.
On Warne points, I mean, it really annoyed me after this ball.
Another defensive prod, another dot ball, yes, Jacob.
Is that there's all this talk about Matt Parkinson bowling too slow. His average speed's only about 4 miles an hour slower than Warne's.
Could be a crucial 4 miles an hour, to be fair, though. It does feel like a crucial 4 miles an hour. The gap between 45 and 50 for a spinner is quite a big gap. That one goes down the leg side. This is not great bowling from Leach. He seems to have been infected by Root's profligacy from the other end. They just seemed so desperate to get perhaps a couple of overs with the new ball in before lunch, but it's hardly the priority. That one's clipped off middle stump through the vacant square leg area. Overton comes around from leg gully, I suppose, to field. They come through for one run.
I felt that they did this too much in the first innings. They were looking towards the new ball on that first day. I mean, so they went from 120 odd for 5 to 220 for 5. But England just seemed to be hurrying to get through the new ball, and when they actually took it, it wasn't really doing much either.
That's true. Last ball of the over. Blundell rocks onto the back foot and plays it out. He remains on 39. The score 246 for 5 at the end of the 76th over.
Mog says, yes, Tony, just break out the spirits and get stuck back in right now. This is from Mog, who said he's never had a hangover in his life. Surely not. How can you have never had a hangover in your life?
It's possible. I worked with a chap who drank, but also claimed never to have been drunk. You just knew his limit.
Never been drunk. Well, I was never a big drinker, and I think I probably had my first sort of experience of being blind drunk when I was aged 40. Funnily enough.
Oh, really?
Yeah, horrible. I ended up sleeping.
You get amnesia from the night before?
No, I ended up sleeping in the printing room of the Times until they found me at 4 o'clock in the morning. So it was, and then I had. Were
you celebrating?
No,
something?
not at all. It was just it was a freebies drink night on the editor, basically. Ooh.
Okay, so Root first ball of the over, and he's found a little bit of form now. He beat the outside edge. He's got them. He's got them guessing. Billings took it quite well.
I don't think Billings did take it, actually. I think he dropped it.
Well, yeah, apart from taking it quite well, he actually dropped it. My feed.
Luckily, it wasn't an edge. I don't think it was an edge, but he did drop it.
He did indeed. Mitchell on strike. Meets that with a full face of the bat, no problem. Defended down to mid-off.
I'm just
They
seeing
are
what we've got.
absolutely rattling through these.
Yeah, 18 minutes before lunch. They've got 3 overs after this one. I think it's going to be very tight to try and get.
Yeah, but I mean, who cares really? There's a reverse sweep which just goes nowhere, and to compound poor cricket, he picks it up. England deign not to appeal. It's not been that sort of series. Because has anyone ever seen anyone appeal once a batsman's picked up the ball like that? I've never actually seen it.
Certainly not in the modern era, and may have happened in the past.
And that one gets quite a bit of vicious turn through. We'll wait to see how close to Ollie Pope at forward short leg, but not far away. Arms are thrown in the air. A single is the result as it goes out past Pope to the man towards the boundary. Let's have a look at this one again.
Wow, it's too fast for him, isn't it? It's gone over his head, just over his
Just
head.
through.
He's thrown the arms up, but it's too late.
He's not there for that shot. He's not
No,
there
he's
for
not.
a shot off the face like that.
He went over his helmet. It's in the air.
No,
It's not in the air in any meaningful sense. It is in the air, but it was a bump ball, I think down to mid-on.
I think Broad was a little slow there, possibly. He looked like
Was it a bump? Was it a bump ball?
I wasn't sure about
I
that.
think he's chipped it.
He was sort of rehearsing the shot afterwards, as if he got it wrong. We're going to see a replay here. Did he? No, that was
he just chipped it, and Broad's a little slow and doesn't get the dive out.
Broad was slow. He is 30. He is 36.
Yeah, I mean, fair enough.
Last ball of the over. That's defended by Blundell. The score remains 247 for 5. Quite a lot happening in that over. And what's happening on socials?
not a great deal at the moment, unless I switch back to YouTube and.
That's not where the mouse is, Hendo.
Oh God, where is it? Here we go. Hang on, let's see what's happening on YouTube. That's not YouTube either. Where's YouTube
YouTube's
gone?
there, Hendo.
Ah, there we go.
There we
go.
go.
Anything
Find
up
the
on
mouse.
YouTube? This match could slip away at this rate, says Finlow Paish. Suter says, that's Colin Suter, says, hard to say if this can slip away. We need 2 before lunch to get back into this, says Andrew Miller. Emily Elizabeth says, I'm making coffee, so my spanner is still slow. That's what we always want to know about Elizababeth's spanner.
Excuse me. Leach round the wickets, and that's a good ball. Just caught Mitchell in 2 minds for a second. He ended up playing it off the back foot, not entirely convincingly. He looked a little uncertain. It was a little victory. Okay, we're seeing win viz. New Zealand 50%, England 30%, draw 20%. Pretty well meaningless if England get 2 quick wickets, of course. Anything could happen yet. Leach in again. Defended stoutly.
Do you not think they should have WinViz plus boycott ratio built in? WinViz plus boycott for the 2 extra wickets.
A nice little filter you can add yourself to WinViz. And that is pitching middle and holding its own, but Mitchell's got his iron so well now it doesn't really. It's a little bit short as well to cause him any real discomfort, but defended. Dot ball. 2.5 overs to go before the new ball. Should be a crucial time for England. That's defended sort of off the front foot to the man at short mid on. No run.
Hendo's just lost a bit of sound to his headphones, so it's just me and you here, fourthly for now.
We'll cope. That one's too short again to be of any real difficulty to Mitchell. Just plays it off the back foot. It seems like everybody's just waiting for the main act to arrive when the 2 overs time and the new ball arrives, which they're getting through them so fast we might even get 2 or 3 overs before lunch. Leach in for the last ball of the over, defended by
off the boot,
Mitchell. Mitchell remains on 43, Blundell on 39, New Zealand 247 for 5 at the end of the 78th. Rolling Hendo.
I'm all right. I've got new headphones on. These ones work. The other one I seem to have lost you for. Good match, says Pokey Bumfinger. New Zealand putting the pressure right back on us. Ravinair says on YouTube, there's no point appealing when the batter picks up the ball. I'm sure you can only be out-handled the ball or double hitting it if as a result you try to take a run. Handled ball.
I'm not sure that's true.
Yeah, but
that's not true.
No, but I have seen handled ball in the sense of trying to keep the ball off the wicket.
Yes.
To my knowledge, handled ball is no longer an offence in itself, but comes under obstructing the field.
Is that right?
And so if you attempt to handle the ball to deflect it from the stumps or deflect it away from a run-out chance, for example, it's obstructing the field and it's out.
So it's just a change to the nomenclature. Joe Root starts a new over. Blundell is quite wide of the off stump, defended by Blundell. Not keen to get out to the... I wouldn't call him a part-timer, Joe Root, but certainly not a regular bowler.
Ooh.
Oh, and that turned quite viciously, actually.
And low.
And kept a little low, as Jacob says. Defended by Blundell satisfactorily out to Ollie Pope at forward short leg. No run. Yes, there was quite a lot of turn there.
That was stone dead if he misses it. He's just got the toe end of the bat.
Sure, indeed. So in amongst all the dross, the odd Jaffa from Joe Root, but that's what you get from someone who's not a regular front line bowler. That one's defended, no run. Almost through these overs before they've even begun. Blundell takes up a little bit of time, realising what's going on, does a bit of gardening, saunters back to his crease, trying to break up the
I think they're waiting for
PC
something.
stranglehold.
Just while we've got a moment, GPL closes in 12 minutes' time at lunch. Get your goes in. I think it's 167 quid is the pot I have entered for the first time in my Gorilla career. At 287 is my bet. So get in.
Defended stoutly by Blundell. They've got a forward short leg and a leg slip and a slip in there now. Then Stokes looking thoughtful, musing, drumming his fingers, working out his strategy. Joe Root comes in. The run-up is aborted. Could it be movement behind the arm? Almost certainly.
Hang on, well, Root is running back towards someone.
Oh, what looks like a biscuit packet has come on to the pitch.
That said, it's a long way from obstructing the batsman's view. It's on the ground.
I think it was bright yellow in the middle of the blue advertising square.
Yes, that seems very...
Do you remember that
dubious
beach ball that got into the Liverpool keeper's sight?
Oh yes,
a few
Sunderland's
seasons
Liverpool,
ago?
yes, indeed.
Alex
Joe
Lee
Root
took a beach ball off
in
it.
again. Defended. These two seem to have come to an understanding now that they'll play out Joe Root, and this will be almost certainly his last over, and his last ball, in fact, because this will come up to the end of the 79th over. Okay, so that's Fuller and clipped by Tom Blundell. The understanding is over. He's clipped for 2 runs to the huge figure of Jamie Overton. The score moves on to 249 for 5. Blundell to 41. Mitchell will be on strike for the last ball before the second new ball. He's on 43.
Mog, this is really sad news. He says, disappointingly, I won't be staying with you for the rest of the day. So just in case this game finishes today, it's been a pleasure, privilege and delight. I'll catch all the cool people on the Patreon exclusive Discord. Yes, you want to be fun? Become a patreon.com. Not only do you get extra podcasts and written articles, you get to join us on Discord, which is basically Twitter without all of the irritating people. Warren says, has Tony Bishop become a de facto GBE, gorilla of the British Empire? Tony Bishop replies, alas, I am merely an adjunct or consort. And Messi Jazz also alert people on Twitter to the last chance to enter the GPL.
That Leach with the last over before the real action, as we say, begins. Forward defensive, and covers, no run.
He'll be keen to buy a wicket now. To just get,
that would be good, wouldn't it?
Mitchell or Blundell now, and then the new ball next over.
It will be a real game changer, actually, if they did, and it's not impossible. Jack Leach has been bowling pretty well this morning. He's blown a little hot and cold. He's blowing
for 20
on his
seconds
hands right now.
he had Daryl Mitchell.
He did, yeah. And in many other ways he didn't. I thought it was too high to the naked eye, and I'm no umpire. That's played out to Stuart Broad at the point position, no run. As we see Stuart Broad rotating his arm in readiness for what's ahead. Jack Leach in again. Big forward defensive from Daryl Mitchell, straight back to Jack Leach, no run.
I think we might just get 2 overs with the new ball, I think, before lunch, if they're out with it quickly enough.
Jimmy's choosing.
Oh, Jimmy. Is he allowed to do that?
He's not even on the pitch.
I'm not
choosing the ball.
sure he is allowed to do that. That's played off the back foot, defensive shot, no run by Mitchell.
Jimmy's interfering, I'm afraid to say, and that's not for you to take a bot on board, pawn bot.
Last ball, there is to be no wicket for Jack Leach. That's defended by Mitchell. He remains on 43. Blundell on 41. 249 for 5 at the end of the 80th over. The new ball is due.
Let's have a little look at YouTube. If the ball is in direction of the stumps after the ball is played and is handled, what happens? Well, that's out. We've seen it happen to Graham Gooch on one occasion. I think it also happened to Michael
Vaughan
yeah.
against India. Yes, it did.
Brian in Brisbane says, I'm loving Jacob showing Hendo how to work a computer. Hang on, it's just I just couldn't see where the YouTube thing was. Suter says, handled ball as such doesn't exist now. That's what Jacob was saying as well. It's been absorbed into another law. Jamie Overton looks like he belongs building a brick wall, which is probably true. And David Prankard says, is Jamie overgrown getting another bowl before lunch? I'm not sure he will. I think it might be Broad, and from the other end, if we manage to get an extra one in, it will probably be Matty Potts.
Well, it's going to be this man bowling now.
Sweep the leg, Broady. Got the best headband around. Something has got to keep her down. Got the best headband around. Your ego ain't gonna be kept down. Got the best headband around. Even though your hair is thin now.
And he's going to do it with this.
Few balls, please. Of course, Wimbledon starting tomorrow. For a couple of weeks, which will be fun.
Indeed, indeed. Stuart Broad takes off with that familiar canter towards the wicket. Right arm over. Sam Billings is open-mouthed with excitement.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about at all.
To be honest, just went straight through.
Did nothing, did it?
That's very, very strange.
Rather reminiscent of Rodney Marsh when he used to sort of take the ball from Dennis Lilly and stagger 3 steps back just to frighten the non-striker. Well, not quite like that, to be fair.
Yeah, it's going to be
of all the stupid rules to play around with, why absorb the?
I don't understand it either.
Handle ball under. I mean, they could be doing something about over rates or anything really. Anyway, same recipe for the second ball, straight through to the keeper.
Well, isn't it the MCC Cricket Committee sort of meets periodically and then makes recommendations? Because I don't think the MCC now has control over the laws. I think it's the ICC. They make recommendations and then they are decided upon by probably another panel.
Well, I suppose if you're on a subcommittee and that's your job, then
you've got to be doing something.
You've got to
make it look as if you're doing something, haven't you? Yeah.
The governance structure of international cricket is like an old-fashioned library wall. It's just panels on panels on panels.
Indeed, it seems that way.
Opaque. Broad cantering in once more. Headband glowing in the gloomy Headingley light. This time he does beat Blundell, I think it's fair to say, who did play at that one and missed.
I think the best thing I think what England would do best once they take the new ball is see if they can arrange a loan deal for Trent Boult, because he seems to be the only person who's getting anything from these new balls at all.
It is remarkable, actually, isn't it? And there's clearly nothing nefarious happening because the guy at the other end for New Zealand isn't getting anything happening. It's just Trent Boult.
Yep.
And not that anyone, by the way, was suggesting that anything nefarious was happening. Far from it. This is New Zealand. They're clean as the driven snow. Not like those nasty Aussies. In comes Stuart Broad once more.
Oh, how's that?
Just heaving. Oh,
inside edge?
Yes. Big appeal. I think he was outside the line myself.
Ooh.
But he had
Broad
gone onto
loves
the front
a
foot.
review.
Not too high. I think outside the line. What do you fellas think?
I thought outside the line.
If it's hit the front, it's definitely hit the back pad. I think it's either clipped the inside edge or the front pad on the way through. So it's either an inside edge or outside the line.
Yeah, and also if it gets that front pad, I mean, it's more likely to go over, isn't it? And he does get a massive stride in, whether he's playing the ball or leaving the ball. Blundell tends to throw out that front leg. Now, there's some problems with the footmarks running up to the delivery
here.
stride.
Let's have a look.
I don't think we're going to get... It's a big inside
huge
edge.
inside edge.
I don't think we're going to get a second over with the new ball, to be honest. Because England are messing around at the moment, worrying about Stuart Broad's run-up. But that's... Broady always used to be able to persuade Root, but I think perhaps he finds a sterner taskmaster in Ben Stokes.
less malleable.
Yeah.
It doesn't look like they caught the inside edge, because Broad was saying he thought it might be outside the line, and that's why they didn't
it was a
review
big
it.
inside edge.
The upshot is clearly not out. That one's a little fuller. A classic forward defensive from Don Blundell. No run.
Yeah, in fact, I think we might get another over it because there's only
We
one more
will.
to go. Yeah, but it's been a poor morning for England, really. The lead has gone up by 80 or so, and they haven't got through this irritating partnership yet again. And they played in a very different manner from the way they played in previous tests, but they've just begun to push on.
Yeah,
a little bit,
you sometimes get one player from 6 or 7 who haunts England through a series, but you rarely get 2 of them at once, like London buses. In comes Stuart Broad for the last ball of the over. Slightly hurries Blundell, but plays it correctly enough. Backward defensive. He remains on 41. The score 2:49 for 5 at the end of the 81st over.
Let's see if we've got any more tweets. The last one I can see is Tony from 10 minutes ago, so there must be something more than that. Yes, we do. We have message just says for GBL purposes 95.1 overs to be bowled today. That's true. Roger Milley says the last handle-ball dismissal I recall was Graham Gooch, and on that occasion no appeal was required as he walked straight away. Yeah, he was just about to just drop down onto his stumps, wasn't it? I think that was against the West Indies, but I may be wrong.
It was against Australia.
Oh, it was against Australia, was it?
Match
Okay.
in, I think, 93, I think.
GC Radio Naked Fun Pornbot says handling ball should never be an offence. Click here. And Gary Neller says Sam Curran always swings a new ball, but a tad slower than Trent Boult. Yes, hasn't got that. He doesn't get it to swing as late as Trent Boult either, which is always good. Now we just had to answer the door. Someone has arrived at the door, so Jacob has just sneaked out. So I can have to tell you that the new ball is also being taken by Matty Potts.
Matthew Potts, yes.
He'll get one over
the
before
ball
lunch.
is. Sorry, Henry. And the ball is stroked through to square leg, and they assume came through for a run. Yes, so Mitchell moves to 44. They go nip and tuck, these two. They like to stay in touch with each other. 144, Blundell on 41. Potts being trusted more and more. He seems like he's been in the sort of an integral part of the England side for much longer than two and a half tests.
Hello all. It was a delivery man with several beers for a man named Brian Cusack, who I don't think lives here.
He doesn't live here.
Ooh,
Have
so
we jingled?
Potts does hurry Blundell there, and he came out down a little late on that one. Potts looks like the man who might effect a breakthrough here. No run.
Have we jingled up Matthew Potts?
We haven't.
Oh, well, here it is.
I've heard from Potts that the kettle's a filthy black. You know he might do. Let's bring him into the attack.
In fact, that one skidded through very low, looking at the replay, which I suppose is good for England, but pretty soon it'll be good for New Zealand if we get much more variability, as it were. And they're the ones who are going to have to bat last on at England. That one's defended out to point, no run.
Yeah, that's Brian. It's Brian 001, I think, who has sent us more beer. So thank you very much for that. There's only Jacob and me in this afternoon, so that'll be just for us.
That's nice.
That is nice.
Cake for the TMS team, beer for the Gorilla Cricket team, as it should be.
Absolutely. Yeah, 250 up now. 250 the lead. 219. England desperately need to break this partnership now.
They do indeed. In comes Potts, what England wouldn't give for a wicket in these last 3 balls. That's not going to be a wicket. That's clipped off middle stump half volley. They're going through to the long on region for 4 of these. Too full.
Yep, that's right it was. There wasn't a lot of swing there either. I mean, these two now both nearing their 50s, 45 to Blundell, 44 to Mitchell. Really a thorn in the England side.
True. Hendo, do you, and Jacob as well, I'm going to ask a question after this ball. Wider of the crease, Potts, but still straight and easily defended by Blundell. Would it not be, to be fair, quite nice if New Zealand brought it back to 2-1, granted their contribution to this series?
Yeah, I see what you're saying. Although I I suppose it depends in what manner they do. If it ends up being really exciting and England lose by 5 runs, then yes. If England get bowled out like they did, well, the first half of their order did in the first innings, that might be a different thing.
A bit of an anticlimax. Last ball of this morning session, which has assuredly been New Zealand's, and that sails through. It's left by Blundell. The score 2-5, 4 for 5 at the end of the 82nd over. That will be lunch. Blundell on 45, Mitchell on 44. They have done superbly this morning. They've come through intact, and New Zealand will be looking on to press on this afternoon. England must strike early in the afternoon session.
Sounds like an animal going to the vet. They've come through intact. Anyway, 254 for 5, so 86 runs scored this morning. It seemed slow at first, but there's been method, there's been, I should say, intelligence in that method, very much so, because they've got through without losing a wicket. And England have got to go back into the dressing room. They've got to get in a circle with Stokey Cullen and think what they're going to do when they come out after lunch. They've got the new ball that is only 2 overs old, and they've really got to make use of it. But from what we've seen in those first 2 overs, there's nothing much there. So it could be hard work, and it looks like we're definitely going to go into tomorrow, I would say, the way things are looking now. We started this morning thinking that it could be over today, but now with New Zealand leading by 223, I think very much we're looking at a 5th day finish, which is good for cricket in so many ways. Anyway, there's not much more to say apart from the New Zealand have scored 86 runs this morning. England have failed to get a wicket. A little bit insipid, England's bowling, perhaps, just uninspired.
Yeah, just waiting for the new ball, it seemed like they were doing, and not really trying to attack too much. I mean, Leach had some good bowling. Root, started terribly and then got a bit better, but I just, in general, think it was a little defensive, a little un-Stokesian. It wasn't Bazball.
It wasn't Bazball. It wasn't Stokey Cullen. It was none of the above. So what have we got for lunchtime?
We have Devon Malcolm, a chat with Devon Malcolm.
That old sausage.
Well, do you want a different one?
No, I'm more than happy with Devon Malcolm. I just hope...
I just saw his name in the downloads list and thought that seems interesting, but if we've done it a million times...
Well, no, we've done quite a few of them a million times. It's David Brook talking to Devon Malcolm last year. So
that's what you'll be getting, and we'll be back at the end of lunch. So, let me just get the file up, and then you will be greeted by Babbling with Brook, and Brook babbling with Devon Malcolm. Here you go.
It's a pleasure to have in the house Devon Malcolm. I mean, normally you'd have to be in one of the hospitality boxes and have to pay a lot of money to listen to Devon Malcolm, but one of the casualties of the whole biosecure thing has been the whole sort of corporate hospitality. Devon, you're an ambassador for English Cricket Board, aren't you? And you do a lot of work at these games. So you've got a bit of time on your hands, and it's guerrilla cricket's gain. Welcome along.
Thank you indeed. With the lockdown, you managed to get a bit of access to me right now. So in the normal times, what would happen, as you said, I do quite a lot at the test matches for the PCA, the Professional Cricket Association, via the ECB. So we normally entertain guests, say lunchtime, and even during the game, what you call the 12-man hub, or we normally do the boxes and talking about, probably the session and entertain our punters, right through the day, and get them a bit closer. I mean, the spectators get a bit closer to us, who, when we're doing our thing on the field, they didn't have that much access, so we're a lot more closer to the fans, and a bit more accessible, put it that way.
Well, welcome to Guerrilla Cricket. As I say, it's our gain, and all those punters lost. And so, Devon, you're used to entertaining people at lunchtime. You'd be amazed at a number of our team who claim to have played against you. I've actually played with you in the Bunbury's team, but you won't remember my spell. But you might remember Hendo, a.k.a. Nigel Henderson of the Times, because he's definitely played against you, haven't you, Hendo?
Yeah, I kind of avoided 3 balls that Devon bowled at me. I think he was playing for Sheffield at the time. I was playing for York, and I don't know. I'm pretty sure he won't remember me, but he might remember. Do you remember a player called Simon Kippax, son of Peter Kippax? Devon?
Of course, son of Kippax. Yeah, of course.
Yeah, yes. That's right. Well, I was batting. I was batting with him towards the end of the game, and this would have been 1986.
Yeah.
And I managed to watch you mainly from the non-strikers end. That was probably the best place to be. But I do remember Simon Kippex, who was a bit of a fiery character, running down the wicket to you in the final over of our innings. I mean, did you often have people running down the wicket to you in club cricket?
No, not really. But I mean, probably was towards the end of that over, and you look, you were at the non-strikers end, so you can live to tell the tale. But way back in those early days in the Yorkshire League, as you said, I was playing for Sheffield United. Then, I was pretty quick, very erratic, so you could get a bouncer, you could get a beamer, anything. So it was rather silly running down to the pitch to me, actually, because pretty brave, pretty foolhardy. But generally, like most cricket, when I get it right, whether in the Yorkshire League or all the way to international, I normally sort a few batsmen out. But in that case, it was rather it was rather brave to to do that in those early stages of my career. Yeah.
Well, it was the sort of stupidity of youth in his case, I think.
Yeah, because Devon, you're not one of the Chris Jordans who came over on a cricket scholarship. You emigrated at 16 and had to work your way through playing for Yorkshire schools, right? You came here from Jamaica at the age of 16. Is that right?
Yes, as I said, as you said, actually, my dad was, just after the Greenwash, early 60s. So I joined him later on, as a 16-year-old here, as a student, and we lived in Sheffield. So, I didn't even play any cricket for a couple of years, while I was in Sheffield. I normally run around with my mates on the street playing football. And one weekend, one of my mates dragged me and said, look, the Westerns were touring actually in the early 80s. And he said, I bet you can play cricket. I said, matter of fact, I used to play when I was in Jamaica. So he took me off to, he dragged me up to the place called Shire Green in Sheffield to have a ball. A couple of the guys there, these big men, and I had them jumping around for their life. And they asked me, who do I play for? And he said, my mate doesn't play cricket, sir. He hasn't played for a few years. And he said, you must be joking. And it just happened very quickly from then. As I said, I was at Richmond College. I was doing okay. I got a cricket club in the league, doing all right. And I got hooked up from there to playing senior school cricket. And I played in York in the early 80s. I reckon it was 81. You had to Metcalf and all those guys. And,
you had to leave Yorkshire to get a game in professional cricket, because Yorkshire had a policy of only playing people born in Yorkshire.
Indeed, that's exactly how it was then. Way back then, you couldn't play for Yorkshire. And I said I play Yorkshire Senior School, and they actually advised me, said, look, in the early days, you've got some pace, you've got some potential, but the rule is that you haven't been born in Yorkshire. Even Michael Vaughan later on, he wouldn't be able to play for Yorkshire because born in Lancashire. So I was told that probably have to look somewhere else to play. Probably that's the highest level I could represent Yorkshire. That was senior school. So an incident happened where I managed to played in the Yorkshire League. I was selected in 1984 in a Yorkshire League Select 11 versus Yorkshire County Cricket Club at a place called Castleford. And so as you said, I was at college, so I nicked the Friday off college, went to Castleford to play. Opened the batting was Martin Mopson and Jeff Boycott. And his middle peg out of the ground. I was at my college. I said, Dad would kill me if he found out that I nicked 2 days of college to play cricket. So insisted I should. I was at my college. Batsman Jeff Boycott was. So at the right place at the right time, got a great batsman out in Jeff Boycott, and I was a professional 2 days later. and the history really. So it was one of those lucky breaks in a way. Apart from the talent, I've never been in any academies or anything like that. So I reckon starting my international career, my first class career, have a massive bearing on Mr. Jeff Boycott.
Well, the credit shouldn't go. The credit Boycott will take the credit, but the credit should go to that Derbyshire coach that signed you up straight away and got you in. Who was that? Was that Phil Russell? Who was that?
Yeah, it was Phil Russell. Phil Russell was the one that said, "Boy, you've got some face. You haven't got a clue where it's going at the moment." But as I said, I was pretty young. But he said, "You know what? If you can get 3 or 4 balls where you want something special, you've got face of fire." So I worked on it. He saw the seed way back in 1984, and I went on and ended up taking over 1,000 first-class wickets. So when I first started, not a lot of people would even expect me to do that, but it was a learning process.
Did you complete your studies at Richmond College?
I went to Richmond College. Yes, I did well at Richmond College. Next, I went to Derby. Obviously, when I signed up at Derby, next I went to Kedleston Road. You didn't know it, Derby University, but I was there. It was a further education college. Then I went on there, did business administration there, and they've got university status. But I must admit, I ended up there as well. Later on, when my England career started flourishing, I was awarded a honorary degree. From the college as well, from Derby University as well. But yeah, it's been fantastic. Oh, great!
Dr. Malcolm, Dr. Devon. So that Derbyshire team you played in, if I remember right, had a lot of good quick bowlers in it, didn't it? Just talk us through some of your contemporaries in that Derbyshire side.
Oh dear, and you know what? You mentioned, I mentioned how I started in first class cricket. One of my schoolboy heroes, when I got in the side in 1984, was Michael Holding, was the overseas player there, and he had a bit of a knee problem. So Derbyshire saw it and then said, okay, at that stage I wasn't going to be signing an overseas player because, as you know, I was born in Jamaica, so I was classed as an overseas player then, although we're living in Sheffield. Came over as a student.
It took you longer to qualify than Jofra Archer, I believe.
Oh yeah, long time. About 10 years. long time. It wasn't like no. So Michael Holding was there, so I joined up with Michael in 1980. The following year, 85, Michael, and he was such a great teacher. He wasn't one of those guys who probably drag you to the nets and tell you to change this, do that. But his experience, he just watched you bowl, and obviously with the Jamaican background as well. Even if Michael Holding see me bowling and he spotted something, he don't have to say a word. He just hits his teeth, and I know exactly what he's on about. You understand? So we understand the language, and he helped me tremendously in fast-tracking me up to first-class cricket and very quickly into international cricket. Yeah, and you got guys like I said, Derbyshire had a battery of fast bowlers, actually. Later on had Ian Bishop, the young fast Ian Bishop from the West Indies. He joined there. You had guys like Will Mortensen. He was, Big Dane. You didn't realize
Big Dane.
He was a fantastic line and length bowler. You just couldn't get him away. But the way cricket moves on these days, I'm thinking, would all be able to bowl those immaculate line and lengths that used to bowl then in these one-day games nowadays, because these guys will be charging him and slog sweeping and all that business. But yeah, we had some seriously quick bowlers at Derbyshire then to choose from.
Yeah, that was quite a team. And now I'm going to Hendo will know a lot more about your international career, but obviously you had five wicket hauls, 128 wickets in 40 test matches, and I have a feeling from your email address that I know what the highlight is going to be.
Yes, you know what? We're talking
9-4-57. Yeah.
Yes, okay, you're right. You got that. Yeah, yes, right, yeah. But I mean, that's what it is. When you talk about test cricket, I made my debut against Australia, the mighty Australians, in 1989 at Trent Bridge. I don't want to tell you what my test bowling, my maiden test average was, what it was, but it was quite an introduction to international cricket. You understand? But it took me my third new ball before I got my first wicket in test cricket. But I had a good scalp in Stephen Waugh, and that was the start. I thought, okay, way back then in the 90s, how fickle the selectors were.
Yeah.
But I was lucky. There was a tour leading up in 1989-90 to the Caribbean, and obviously I was selected for that. So I had a good tour in the Caribbean. Back to Jamaica for the first time since I left as a youth. Actually, the first test match was at Savannah Park in Kingston. And you remember I mentioned a while ago who actually launched my first class career. But if anything, as I said, I went to the Caribbean with not a lot of wickets, being smacked around the park by the Australian, my first test match there back in Jamaica, back to the land of my birth, as I said, I managed to get the great Viv Richards out in the first innings. I had him out LBW. And not only that, the start of the test match, I remember the West Indies batted first, and they had a brilliant start, actually. And I managed to run Gordon Greenwich out. And that started the kind of collapse for West Indies. And following from that, I clean ball. I said, no, I had Viv Richards out LBW in the first innings. As a matter of fact, the umpire who gave him out LB, I don't believe he ever umpired since. Nobody saw him. They were so upset. And the second innings, I had Viv Richards out as well. I yorked him in the second innings, which set up a great platform, and we actually won that test match in Jamaica. I reckon that was the first test match in Jamaica in about 35 years, could be actually, if I'm not wrong.
Because yes. I was going to say, your contests with Viv are quite famous, aren't they? This must be one of your lunchtime anecdotes. It's got to be.
Yes, so I mean that was quite a battle, and as I said, getting Viv Richards out both innings in Jamaica, that actually really put me a big launching pad to my international career. So obviously Viv Richards was getting towards three-quarter end of his career. He was still a fierce batsman, very proud guy, still didn't wear a helmet, and he will take you on, you see. But we had a great battle, and that series went very well for me in the Caribbean, and obviously coming back and I was pretty very fit and all that business. But as I said, in the 90s, the selectors were very fit up in a way. Yeah. So 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. It's not like now where you see these guys getting out there being rotated, and they've got central contracts. They're just concentrated and playing for England. It wasn't like that, in my days. In our days, you understand? You don't know, because I mean, when I played, your county used to own you, not the England side. So the England selectors will give you an invitation if you want to play for England, if you say yes. And that's it. So the selectors weren't very, consistent. So regarding confidence-wise playing for England, you were all over the place. Because 1 minute you're in, 1 minute you're out. So it was very difficult. But,
not helped by some of the team management. Ray Illingworth in particular is famous for getting your name wrong and not encouraging you or supporting you.
No. Regarding the name wrong, actually, was when I was first selected for my debut. It was Ted Dexter, but he's a wonderful man.
Ted,
it was one of those things. He called me Malcolm Devon instead of Devon Malcolm. But as I said, he's absolutely Lord Ted, fantastic guy. I love Lord Ted to bits. But he's one of those things. Again, say way back in the 80s, 90s. Chairman of selectors and all those guys, it was just a voluntary role. It's not like now a pay role. So these guys get in there and somebody give them a team and they're gonna announce stuff. So I don't believe he was 100% know who I was in a way. I like nowadays selectors, they do travel around, they meet players, they see players play, but it was just collectively, because it wasn't a professional job.
But Devon, how about Ray Illingworth? Did Ray Illingworth give you enough support and encouragement?
Never. He was, that's something I just don't want to get too deep into. He was very, very old school, and the coaches he had on board were very, very old school. And what I say as a coach and as a coaching team, his bowling coach, batting coach, really, I reckon they disarmed me as a player, and also disarmed my captain, Michael Atherton, then, in a way, because the disrespect and a lot of things they normally talk about how they used to do things in their days, and that was just decades and decades ago. Things have moved on so far ahead. So these guys were miles out of their depth, really. So that was always going to cause a bit of problem you know, with the way they speak to players, and you know, they were just so miles behind. So it was always going to cause a bit of problem. Their management skill, those type of skill, and you know, not getting players or captains or people involved. They just wanted to dictate. It was never going to work. So you know, but it just the way his management skill was, you know, as I said, not very good. You know, not only from himself, you hear that from right across the board. You know, but we had some. It's been well documented. You know, we had some terrible times, especially in my first tour to South Africa. You know, after my great performance in 1994. But as I said, it's best to talk about positive things than the lowest point in my international cricket career, so to speak. You understand? So, yeah.
No, indeed. I mean, it's yeah. You studied management. You studied management at Richmond College, and now you're the doctor of management, so you know all about Ray Illingworth's management failings. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, it was very, very difficult, mate. As I said, that tour in South Africa, even you know, on the tour, I've seen certain incident that happened during his term as management. You understand that? I thought, look, a manager would have a broader view of doing things or saying things. You know, the situation where captain make decisions and stuff like that will have a negative effect on the team. I will take it way back. You know, when we toured Australia, when Michael Atherton declared on Graham Hick on 90 odd runs, and I thought that was one of the lowest points.
Yeah.
Almost. I was disarmed. I was so fired up to bowl Australia out. You know, but I look and he keeps saying management is there. You know, Arthur's probably clap and give the final signal to call the teams in. But I keep saying management actually encourage that, and I keep saying, why on earth would you do that? You know, Graham Hick, one of the most pleasant-mannered guy I ever come across, and I keep saying, I went out to bowl. You know, I was so fired up because at that stage I keep saying, you know what, Graham Thorpe almost get to his 50. Graham Hick 100% got to get his 100. Let Graham Thorpe get a 50 as well. We just need a little bit of morale booster in the team. And I was going to bowl Australia out. And I tell you what, I went out for that session. I don't believe we took a wicket because it felt like midnight when I went out. I mean, psychologically, I was drained. I just could not work out what on earth, why would be.
What did Athers say to you when you said to Athers, why did you call Graham Hick in on 99? Why did you do that? What did Athers say?
Well, to be honest, I didn't say that. I swore at a big arm. So people even reckon I'm the most mild-mannered man. I actually swore when I saw that. I keep saying, what? And I went in the changing room. Graham, he came off the field, and you know what? He was just somewhere else. And so was I. I mean, in my mind, you know, I had to look on the replays, whatever, to realize it was bright and sunny, because it just it felt as if it was midnight when I was running to bowl. I couldn't see a thing. And it was just crazy. I keep saying, wow, this is weird, you know? Well, we had massive advantage to beat Australia, and we just gave it back to them straight away. They were laughing at us. I keep saying, that's the poorest bit of management I've ever seen. And young Michael Atherton clapped for the guys in, but I keep saying, that's not right at all. This is just great, you know? But that's the type of management, you know, I said, as a manager, it didn't work first, you know? So, and as I said, you know, you talk about a captain, but when you have your management in the background saying things close by and all that business, or the team come first and various different things, and you know, it put an influence in, and it make captain or people make the wrong decision. So
absolutely. You know. Well, he was called Captain Grumpy, Mike, after the course. Anyway, let's take you back to the high point. The high point at the Oval, because it is it's one of the big sporting moments, you know, of the last century. You know, in cricketing terms, it's got to be one of the most astonishing bowling performances by an English bowler. 9 for 57 against South Africa at the Oval, 1994. Devon, I mean, what a day that must have been. You must have been. How did it feel to be bowling like that day?
Look, I tell you what, it was one of those fantastic days, but. You know, it was one of those things as well. It was a split match series, you know, 3 test matches against New Zealand, 3 against South Africa. I was left out after the first game against New Zealand. Next to South Africa came the first time South Africa playing cricket back in this country since the apartheid days. South Africa won the first test match by a huge margin at Lords. The second test match at Leeds was drawn. So psychologically, I was preparing in my mind, said, look, chances are they're going to be calling me up for the final test match. So all of a sudden I heard the call, okay, we need a match winner, bring Devon Malcolm back. So I was well prepared in my mind leading up to that. But, I just push it on a little bit. I bowled pretty quickly in the first innings, took 1 wicket. But an incident that happened, I was bowling pretty quickly. John Rhodes misread a ball, didn't watch the ball. He cracked him at the side of his head, ended up in hospital overnight. But when I came out to bat, my first innings, an incident happened. I could hear all the South African players, in the slips cordon, saying to Farney de Villiers, the bowler, look, give him a bouncer. He hit one of our boys. And I said to myself, okay, this is the biggest bluff I can hear in my life. There was this unwritten rule between fellow fast bowlers. You don't bowl the fellow fast bowler, a bouncer first ball. So up there waiting there. Everybody know I'm not the best batsman in the world, although I hit some of the best batters for 4 and 6s, from Malcolm Marshall, Shane Warne, Ambrose Walsh, you name it. So don't worry, take too much mickey out of my batting. I'm not so bad, I took my batting very seriously. But back onto the story. back onto the story, and I'm there waiting for this Yorker. Finally, de Villiers ran up, and before I moved, he bowled me the perfect bouncer, hit me right between the eyes, hit the 3 lions, and I wasn't very happy at all. And I could see quite a few other guys in the slips card and kind of looking away, giving a little bit of, a little bit of giggle. And I just turned around and said, guys, he shouldn't have done that. I said, he shouldn't have done that at all. I said, boys, if you really want to see what fast bowling is about, wait till you guys come out to bat. Again, I said, all you guys are history. And you know what? You make these bold statements at times, but if ever I wanted to send a signal to those boys that, look, what I said, mate, is what I meant. That very first ball of the second innings, I bowled to Kirsten. If ever I wanted the ball to pitch at the right place, with the right pace, Kirsten just managed to get his head out of the way when the ball absolutely thuds in Steve Rhodes' glove, and the crowd went up. I was bowling from the pavilion end, and I looked up. I could see all the South African boys run to the changing room. They were having a look to see what the crowd was cheering about like that. And I just shouted, I said, boys, you better pad up. You're going to be out here in a hurry, And my first spell, I probably took 3 for none or something like that. But it was one of those things, my teammates were just unbelievable, They just gave me the power. The crowd was absolutely fantastic. And you know what? I mentioned about the crowd as well. You know what? I could only hear the crowd's voice, the noise the crowd was making at the end of my over. Turn running into bowl at the batsman. It was total silence. I could not believe it. Watching the highlights afterwards, I realized that every step I made running into bowl, the cheer from the crowd was getting louder and louder. That's how focused I was. So what I would say, if there was a point where they said there is you're in the zone, I must have been in the zone that game, because I was just above the noise. I just could not hear a thing. All I could see is the batsman at the other end. And as I said, every spell after, got me back onto ball, I was just taking wickets after wickets. And it's one of those days as well. That's not the quickest I've bowled, but that's obviously with the 9 wickets that the most exciting, because all the catches were taken, and things just went my way as well. Apart from being hostile, and also the wickets I took, everything happened nicely because I really softened the batsman up before. Devon, how did you feel? How did you feel at the end of that day? You've just taken 9 for 57, best figures by an English bowler since Laker. How did you feel at the end of that day? You know what? I mean, it really started sinking in when, at the end of that, when I took the 9 wickets, after the captain ran over to me and slapped me on the bum and said, "Well done, Dev. You realize what you realize what you've just done?" And I said, "Skipper, would you believe it? I tried to bowl like that all the while." And he said, he said to me, "Look, possibly as long as I play cricket, I won't see another person dominate the game as much as you did then." And I said to him, "Skipper, I've had a very good game in 1990 against the West Indies in 1990 at Trinidad, where I took 11 wickets. Probably that was my best maths analysis in a test match. Yeah, I took 11 wickets in the game, but we didn't win that game. That's when the rain came and and Desmond Haynes slowed
the time wasting, the famous time wasting test,
yeah. And I said to Athens, I said, look, the only way this is gonna mean a lot to me. You guys get out there, knock these runs off, and let's win this game, win and draw the series 1-0. And once it started sinking in, when they got out there, knocked the runs off, we won the game, drew the series. I was man of the match, man of the series, just played one game, and next it started sinking in. And I keep saying, wow, that's it. If I'd gone and take 957 and did not win the game, or South Africa bowled us out, it wouldn't worth a thing, man. But winning the game, draw the series. And the adulation that follows was amazing, because all of a sudden you're getting called from the president, and you're getting called. All the newspapers headlines was my performance, and it was a memory maker. And will you believe, I've had so many contacts from all over the world, where a lot of sons from New Zealand right across been called Devon. They've been named after me, mainly because at that particular stage, what happened? Either the wife were in labour and all that business, and they keep running off, coming back. Oh, he took another. When his wife's in labour, rather than helping, they're running off, trying to scream to watch the cricket. So I know, 1994, September 1994, on that day, there's a lot of boys all around the world being called Devon. I must have had at least 10 letters. I mean, a few years ago, one came in from New Zealand. To meet me. I keep saying, wow, I've been sending out birthday cards and all sorts. Dad's been saying, look, my son's named Devon after your performance against South Africa in 1994.
Wow.
So it's been a massive memory maker, mate. And
it'll stay. It'll always will be. It's going to stay the test of time. It's one of those records that will stand for the test of time. Devon, bringing the story up to date, do you think there's going to be a lot of kids called Cornwall now? After this test match, do you think there'll be a lot of newborns called Cornwall?
I tell you what, he's a big boy. He's a big guy, but you know what? He can bowl. And I don't believe the way cricket or sport is run these days. Not a lot of people would put him in his team, but he's got the talent. That's the way Cornwall is built. You can tell the boy can bowl, and I reckon he can bat as well. And he's a good fielder. So we must not discriminate, generally, when you're talking about a professional sports person, they had to look a certain way and all that business. But, we got to give people a chance. And, all he can do is, he's on the platform, show that he can bowl, he can play cricket. And I don't believe it's not for the want of, working on his diet or working on various different things, because, there's people there we're trying to help him work on his size, whatever. But when time's up, people probably call it people Cornwall. I don't know, But at the end of the day, it's one of those things. It's probably nice to see. There's a lot of people out there who said, okay, cool, right. You probably don't look like you're a professional sports person, but you can do the business. So we said, exactly. Discriminate.
Well, it's good to see Devon and Cornwall given the credit they deserve in the cricketing stage. Now, I've got to ask you, Devon, with the Jofra Archer situation, I'd love to get your perspective on Jofra Archer, because the England management have really tried to look after him, and you famously were you were often criticised, I think, by one or two people for not being sufficiently committed. You came from coming from Jamaica. You were accused by one article in Wisden magazine of not being sufficiently committed to the England team. In the light of the changes in society since then, do you reflect on the Jofra Archer situation and see any parallels there?
Yeah, I mean, as you said, that's why when you mentioned about the article in Wisden years back, and I had to take them to court, High Court, to put that right, because I keep saying, wow, you check my record, and the thing about it, was particularly pointing on the Afro-Caribbean black guys, because at the time as well, there was guys that was from South Africa who actually came over to play cricket. I didn't come here. I got the chance, I took it with both hands. I set up. I've been given my chance by England. I wanted to play for England, and that's where I did my thing. But if you even look at my figures, I look at the figures right through, all my best performance with the leading up games against England. So there's no, there's absolutely no question in how much I'll give.
It was racism was behind that, wasn't it?
A guy called Edmiston, I believe it was. The editor of the magazine was
David Frith.
David Frith from Australian guy. Yeah. But I had to take him to court mainly because, again, I said, look, I've got kids born in this country. This is where they live. And if I do not take this to court and let it go, who to tell in the future I won't have a son who want to play cricket and or play sports. I want to do things for England. And, at the time I had 3 daughters. They go on and do very well academically. One's a pharmacist, one's a pediatrician, one's a journalist and all that business. But as it happened, I have a young son at the moment who shows some potential of playing cricket. And I wouldn't want later on he look in an article and said, look, the dad were accused of not trying. But, it was great to see. I took them to the High Court and the court, the paper admits, and we got things resolved and moved on. But back to the Jafra case at the moment. You see, Jafra got out there, he bowled very well. It's tough, bowling quick, day after day. And, Jafra again, obviously, he spent a lot more time in Barbados, where a bit warm. You see how lethally well he bowled against the Australian. And, he had them in all sort of trouble. He got a bit colder. And again, as a fast bowler, I must admit, earlier on, Jafra is used to bowling mainly playing white ball cricket. And when you're going out there and play a game where you're going to bowl maximum 4 overs, you can give it all. You probably have 2 spells or whatever, not a problem. But when you're going out there bowling 30 or 40 overs in a test match, as a fast bowler, I don't care how smooth you are, it takes a lot out of you. So when they see Jafra getting out there bowling and not bowling at 96 miles an hour every ball, it can't be done. The next they said, okay, he's not trying hard enough and all that business.
So do you see any parallels there in the way that he's been criticised with the way that you were criticised in terms of motivation?
Indeed. It just, we're all human, you understand? It's nothing to do with, okay, I'm not charging in mainly because I don't want to for England. He doesn't care. You've got to work with your body. And I said the guy could be tired, and I said he bowled some very long spells. There's never in my life, I played for so many years, and I've never ever bowled spells where in one innings I bowled 30 or 40 overs. I'll probably get up to pretty near 30, but next you really start feeling it. And that guy bowled some heavy heat. And another thing again, he just been co-opted into the team just for the World Cup.
I do love David, but he doesn't half shout on these interviews. Makes it hard to have the earphones on. Right. We are back to normal pictures, and we are back to some cricket. I'll just adjust the zoom so that you can see Ian Forth as well, and you shouldn't be able to see me. So I will go away. So there are your commentators, Ian Forth, Al Hotchkiss and Messi Jez, and I will be invisible in the background, jingling. Crack on, lads.
He is invisible. He is invisible. He is invisible.
He is invisible. Essentially, you see me at all times.
Eating heart of GC today. That is Jacob.
It's a rapid promotion up the GC corporate ladder.
He's taken the inside line and the fast track.
Bloody well has, hasn't he?
Yep.
Very impressive.
Like all interns, is just being exploited.
Wow, well, it's one man's intern is another man's junior executive.
Yeah. There used to be something called a paperclip strategy, which was recognised in advertising. So you just did all the jobs, like being in charge of the paperclips that no one else wanted to do. And before you knew where you were running the whole place.
Yeah, well, advertising agencies make that pretty clear from the way they operate, don't they? I mean, I do recall a lot of discussion from you and Grabby about the amount of time you used to spend having lunch as opposed to working.
Yeah, well, we talk it up, but you forget about the late nights, you forget about the 2 a.m. calls before a pitch, Messi. It's not like, local government or something where everyone clocks off at 5.
That PowerPoint isn't going to adjust itself, is it?
Let's be honest. Bloody well is not. No, bloody well is not.
Right.
But at least you can't get beer stains on the PowerPoint.
God knows we've tried. Well, this morning, the first session was definitely New Zealand's morning. They have moved on. 254 for 5. a lead of 223. And there's going to be some jingles of some players.
Which David Mitchell is it referring to? There's at least three others.
There's a couple. Brought in for this first ball after lunch, just outside off stump, which is defended well by Mitchell and then thrown unnecessarily hard back to the wicketkeeper by Ben Stokes. Jonny Bairstow.
There's the actor. There's also the novelist.
There's the novelist. I'm trying to think of the novel by David Mitchell, Cloud Atlas?
No, Cloud Atlas is something. Hang on, I'll go to my shelf and have a quick look.
Okay.
Since it references Peep Show in the jingle, I think it's the David Mitchell actor on Peep Show.
Yeah, we definitely know there is definitely an author called David Mitchell there. Broad wide of the crease, but it's also wide of the off stump, and Mitchell on 44 not out will now let that be.
I have a prediction.
Okay.
I predict that this session will be England's, that New Zealand will be all out for 300, and all of a sudden it'll be England's to lose.
Once again, be a good series if that did happen. You were bloody well right, Al. It is Cloud Atlas, and there it is. Well done. Cloud Atlas.
And in other news, a blind squirrel finds an acorn. If you let me talk for long enough, I'll be right about something. Broad in and met with a straight bat and firm defensive.
I actually enjoyed this one, Black Swan Green.
Oh yeah.
I mean, a lot more. It's a bit more of a conventional narrative, but it was more interesting.
Cloud Atlas, if I remember rightly, is like it's like 7 or 8 different narratives that all kind of intertwine and
highly experimental. I can't help thinking with those books, it's got one eye on the literary prize.
Wow.
Well, they made a film which was hard work initially, but actually turned out to be brilliant.
I haven't seen it. It's interesting.
Oh, dig it out.
Movie recommendations as well as cricket commentary here.
Wide of the crease. I think that might have hit bat and pad there of Mitchell. Signs of encouragement there by Cap and Stokes.
Yes. They've obviously had a big rah-rah-rah over the bully beef sandwiches at lunchtime. They've decided they're going to give it one last big tilt in the field.
Got to be careful though about what you have for lunch. I mean, if you're not careful, have the wrong thing for lunch and you're very sleepy.
Yeah, it's true, isn't it? The funny thing is, when you listen to those footballers in the 90s, they were obsessed with pasta. They had pasta for breakfast. Surely that's not the thinking these days.
Salad, probably these days. Broad in, too wide, but full and quick. 83 miles an hour is about as quick as Broad gets these days, and Mitchell leaves it well alone, and there's just one ball left of this relatively harmless first over after lunch.
Hasn't been quite on the money for Woody today, has he? Not quite right.
No, he hasn't got angry enough.
Maybe that's it. Yeah, he's bowling just a little wide. He gets movement, but it's too wide when he gets the movement. It's straight.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. Sorry.
And as the random button pressing of Jacob fades away, Broad comes in for the last ball of this over, left again harmlessly by Mitchell. He's on 44. Blundell is on 45. He leads 2-2-3. Cheers.
And
have we got any more coming back to us?
Well, before I do that, I can tell you Cloud Atlas is on Netflix, and it has Tom Hanks, Halle Berry, Hugh Grant, Susan Sarandon, and a whole lot more in it, and Hugo Weaving, Jim Broadbent. So all-star cast, and it's actually worth watching. Hard work initially. A lot of talk about hangovers over lunch. Warren saying, "Can the bastard of all hangovers have a mother and a father?"
Well, so in Terry Pratchett novels, isn't it called the "Oh God" of hangovers?
It seems reasonable. And Farong just says, "Punch down a few bananas to up the vitamin B." Foster del Sol says, "Finally managed to find some 4G in Germany on the shores of Lake Constance, looking forward to a cracking session. Sends a picture on the shores of Lake Constance. Wow, what a great place to be listening from."
First ball of that over is down the arse of Blundell and well taken by Billings. Jacob, hit me with those jingles.
I've heard from pots that the kettles are filthy black. You know he might do. Let's bring him into the attack.
Up next is Tommy Blundell. Tommy Blundell.
Pots wide of the off stump. Going wider, and Blundell will leave that alone.
Tommy Blundell.
Well, yesterday, Forthy, you said that you could tell a lot from the first over of an innings.
I stand by that.
No. I was going to explore that theory with you with this first over of this session. Blundell and Mitchell seem like they're here for a long time, rather than
I would say so. And more important, and just as importantly, rather, the ball's doing absolutely bugger all.
That does seem to be also true as well. We're now 3.2 overs into this second new ball. Seems a bit of a shame, really, taking that new ball. I can understand why you've taken it, but it does take Leach out of the attack for a good 20-30 overs.
He was bowling well, wasn't he?
Yeah, he did seem bowler most likely.
Yes.
Anyway. Oh, hello. Potts gets as far as cocking the ball back behind his ear before Blundell backs away. Very last minute, assuming that there is some late stragglers. Although there is a picture of the square leg umpire with his hat blown off.
I think that's what distracted it. Kettlebury's hat's blown off.
So we'll staple it to his head then. I mean, come on. I mean, what old-fashioned solutions for a happier Britain?
That reminds me of the punchline of one of my favourite jokes, which I might get to after this ball.
Now that is technically known as a tease. We will come back to that. Potts in, bowls the ball this time. Slightly lowish bounce considering where the ball pitched, but played off middle stump, off the back foot by Blundell, and a shortish mid-wicket will do the fielding. So,
well, it was one of those Ronnie Corbett Shaggy Dog stories from the big chair. I won't reiterate the whole joke. The punchline, which I always enjoyed, was, well, that's strange. He's only ever done it twice. The first time he was sick, and the second time his hat flew off.
With those Ronnie Corbett stories, sometimes it's funny just to hear the punchline and make up your own story.
Exactly right, yeah.
Full length ball, almost Yorker length, outside the off stump, just blocked by Blundell, and there's no run.
I think the conceit, as it were, was one party assumed that they were referring to sexual activity, the other party thought they were referring to sailing.
Well, how can you not get the two of those things confused?
I did used to enjoy Ronnie Corbett from the big chair.
It's all in the mind.
Yes.
It's funny sometimes how you misunderstand people's influence. I remember watching a documentary about the League of Gentlemen, and they were saying, like, the thing they were most excited about was Ronnie Corbett coming to see their show. That is again another Yorker length delivery, which Blundell blocks towards cover, and there's no run. And they were watching. They used to sit in the their sort of dressing room, green room, and they used to watch the crowds, and they were just absolutely dead excited. Ronnie Corbett had deemed it their show worthy enough as attendance. It was remarkable.
Nice.
Yeah. As we watch. I hope they're friends.
She hasn't just keeled over.
Yeah, there's a nap attack in the bleachers as this ball is turned off Blundell's hip, and there'll be runs to Bairstow behind square at long leg. 2-5 for 5.
Yeah, I always thought Ronnie Corbett was jolly nice chap and everything else. I also thought that if you were ever conducting an affair, which let me stress, I have never done. One of the safest places.
Nor would you recommend?
Nor would I recommend it. One of the safest places you could conduct it was watching a county cricket match. Because that would be one place that no one would look and no one else was attending, to be honest. By and large.
How much of your time do you spend wondering where would be a good place to have an affair for? See?
Well, I'll tell you why. Anyway, sorry. Let's do some tweets. So I'll get back to that in a minute. The reason it came up.
I don't know why, but the fact that the fact that this is a long story is an even longer story.
It's not that long.
Homing into view here.
Oh dear.
I'm going to give you a chance to get some tweets.
Okay, Farong says,
between balls. We're just going to watch the first one from Broad. Is inside edge and nearly a wicket.
Whoa, closest they've been all day.
Careened into the leg of Blundell, but it could have easily careened into all of the stumps. Enough to get everybody excited again after the luncheon interval.
Yeah,
Farong says, well, the rain has stayed west of Leeds, which is good. I have Wi-Fi again, so why not throw in a quiz? Cryptic movie star, old, clues, another name for a toilet in paddocks. And he sent us a picture and said, why? A toilet in paddocks. Toilet there. Is there a Dunnyfield? Is the name of a movie star? I don't know. There you go. And Josie Oak is back on track. He says, we're doomed.
All is right and well with the world as we see members of the Western Terrace clap with varying degrees of enthusiasm as Broad comes in, and it's back of a length, defended on his toes by Blundell.
The reason I brought up the subterfuge of having the affair was when I did the English Cricket Board research. I did interview one couple in Derbyshire, I think, and they said, "Well, we'll answer your questions, but make absolutely sure that we're anonymised and we aren't attributed." And they looked very shifty throughout the interview. I suspected that was what was taking place.
Ooh. It's either that one. No one wants to be like a Derbyshire fan.
Your suspicions.
Quite possibly. Yeah.
Broad in closer to the stumps this time, and Blundell will play this ball through a vacant point to a deep point, and he'll get off of 46 and move on to 47. The lead now 2-5.
There is no point in existential terms.
Well, indeed.
Dear God, this is going to be a deep session.
Yeah. Strap in, folks. There's only another 25 minutes of this left to go.
It's a statement of fact, Messi. There is no point.
Well, it's starting with Cloud Atlas. It was inevitable, I think, given the seven levels of existence there seems to cover. Andrew Miller says, "I agree. Don't wait for the old ball. Give it 10 overs, then scuff the ball up a bit for Leachy."
Well, I think they tried that in the first inning. If I do remember some petulance from Broad in the first inning. Broad though in, and this almost squares up Mitchell, who plays this to mid-off.
This has been the most testy day, in the sense that this has been the day that's most resembled a test match so far of the series, I would suggest.
Well, yeah, England's innings, kind of was more of an ODI thrash.
Most certainly it was.
But it's nice to see the different ebbs and flows and games within a game almost.
Oh, absolutely for certain. And this could still, as Messi pointed out at the start of the session, this could still become extremely interesting very quickly.
Absolutely.
It may not.
Delicately poised as this one jags back and almost chops Mitchell in half. He takes a blow on what might be described as the upper thigh.
Do you think there'll be any point at which New Zealand would consider a declaration?
I think it's probably unlikely because this is still only day 4. I think they'd have to be batting at the end of today.
Yes,
so that would be a lead of maybe 350, 360.
And they're likely to be all that by then, so it's almost certainly not going to happen.
So it's possible.
So the next question is, what would England consider would take on chasing down?
As that is defended outside the off stump by Mitchell. That's the end of the 85th over. I think they're going to have a go at anything. Where I think it's about starts and things like that. So, Jez, are we
just to chip in on that? Bear in mind, there's a slight extension today, an extra 20 minutes in this session, and another 62 overs in theory to be bowled. So at 3 and over, which they've been scoring at, that's another, say, 190 runs, which would give them a lead of 410 by stumps. At which stage, if they were still, I reckon they would declare.
Oh, I don't think they would. I don't think you would trust this England side not to have a go at 410, and they might get it as well.
Matthew Cullen is at the game. Says he's got an autograph from young Jonny Bairstow. Lovely bloke. He shows us his Reddington cap with a Jonny Bairstow signature on it. Well done, Matthew. You were having a great first day at the cricket.
What's in? But just a tap and run into a vacant point area. By the time cover gets round, single's been taken, and Blundell moves on to 48.
What do we think of Potts? I think he's a real find, probably the biggest find, more so than Overton of this series for England. And yet, at the same time, doesn't feel like we've unearthed. What can I say? Maybe in time he will get there. He fits in very well. He's a real workhorse. He looks physically the part.
Gems sometimes only become precious after a degree of polishing.
Oh, beautiful. Love it. Well done now.
Wide of the crease, Potts in. And that is dabbed to cover by Mitchell. He'll stay where he is.
You can tell Al's worked in management consultancy, can't you?
Listen, the time that Jacob needs to cut me off is when I start talking about holistic synergy.
Oh yeah, please do. Please do. Don't just keep it for your wife. Talk to us about it too.
I think a lot's going to be made about the fact that they're like 8th choice, 9th choice, things like that. As we'll just see Potts come in again. That's too wide outside the off stump. Good carry though to Billings as that's left alone. I think that you've got to make the most of your opportunity, and I think that there reaches a point where if you bowl well enough, some of these guys that are out with stress fractures of the back, I mean, they're not coming back this summer.
That's very true.
You know, and Jofra Archer may never bowl another red ball for England ever again.
Yeah, tragic, but it's probably right. And Potts does look like he's got a very repeatable action, and King keeps going all day, so good on him.
Too wide outside the off stump again. Almost a complete replica of the third ball of the over with the fourth. Mitchell happy to leave those two alone.
There's usually a narrative, isn't there, with a new player? You know, yes, in the wilderness, or it's a comeback, or an unfashionable game. I'm not quite sure what the narrative is with not that he has to have one. With Matty Potts, what's the story? What's the story?
I think that it sound like someone from Caddyshack. It's a Cinderella story.
It's a Cinderella story. Okay, go. Yeah, okay.
It's a Cinderella story. And with Overton, it's the other brother, isn't it? You know,
it's the other brother.
It's the twin we didn't want initially, which is a lovely narrative, because that is a bit more pitched up. Mitchell tries to drive, can't beat Stokes at mid-off, and there's one ball left of the over.
I worked out
he wanted.
Farong's another name for toilet in paddocks is obviously W.C. Fields.
Oh yes, very good. We've got twins. I say we. I mean, I didn't give birth to anything. I was there, but
as a relief,
you were at least present.
We had a very, very odd 10 minutes while you were waiting to find out. Okay. The second one's a boy as well. 10 minutes later, we've got 3 boys. Okay, but there's a funny little 10 minutes, 3 contractions while you wait to find out.
This one more on the stumps. Mitchell almost squared up, but plays the ball back to the bowler. That's Potts' 17th over in the book. He's 2 for 35, and the New Zealand lead is 226. Jazz.
Okay, so we're up to date on Twitter. I think it's a good time to mention the fact that the weekly edition of the Smaximum came out a couple of days ago to all patrons who contribute £5 a month or more, and it's a bloody good read.
Can you give me
some? You contribute?
I mean, can you give me some hints and tips about what's in this episode? Or this?
Well, I think Forthy's well qualified for that, aren't you, Forthy?
Am I in this episode? I do fortnight. I'm on a fortnightly rotation.
Well, what did you do last fortnight?
I did the Malign Law of 3 with Colin the Grandhorn.
That Broad is in. Wide at the off stump. Blundell looks to cut, but then backs out of the shot and he goes through to the keeper. And there's no run. The Law of 3.
Yes, and I've got a Dickensian theme coming up for my next article, which I've just submitted to Hendo's Red Pen. I'll say no more.
Yes, I got berated by Hendo because you're so good at getting yours in on deadline.
Well, sorry, Messi, but some of us just work to a deadline. Actually, that reminds me, I'm behind with Tony for getting in my submission for the Indian series. I must do that.
Well, I have to remind Hendo I'll write for him if he wants me to. Broad in.
Sure.
And that is defended by Blundell. Goes backwards rather than forwards. Blundell seems panicked, but it drifts harmlessly away from the stumps. No run.
So it seems like the most likely source of dismissal at the moment.
Yeah.
The ball that goes into the ground, pops back over the shoulder and onto the top of the stumps. I'm sure that Hendo would bite your arm off if you submitted a copy.
Well,
I'm not sure that's an incentive, but...
Well, it'll be good practice.
I mean, as long as it's, submitted in the form of consultancy flow diagrams.
No one wants that. No one.
Not even people who are receiving them want that.
Yeah. Wide of the crease, Broad, and that is dabbed to point, which seems again to be a vacant area. Add your own existential joke at this point. And Blundell moves to 49.
Why would I make that observation? There's no point.
Really? Yeah.
I feel like missing Tony Bishop too.
I feel like I'm just the straight man for somebody else.
That's been said about you.
The thing is, there's usually a point, so you can't make these jokes. Sometimes you just got to have the right time. It's like when after the twins were born, I had to wait for the day after. Said I wasn't born. I wasn't born yesterday, unlike my twins.
That is onto the stumps and onto the legs of Mitchell. He likes to flick it through mid-wicket. Can only find the fielder and there'll be no run. Maybe missed out on a couple there, Mitchell.
Now, so I do have a stat-gasm for... I don't know if you covered it. I think you did for Daryl Mitchell. He's now third on the all-time list of most runs scored by a Kiwi in a series. But significantly, the two ahead of him were in a 5-match series.
Wow.
Yeah.
Turner and Sutcliffe.
Oh, I was going to say, I would have assumed one of those would have been Martin Crowe, but...
Martin Crowe, I'm just looking down on this.
As we've just seen...
Glenn Turner was a prolific scorer, wasn't he?
Absolutely smacked in the face with a beach ball there, and he wasn't looking, and he wasn't prepared, as that ball by Broad is defended by Mitchell to cover. And I think that's it. No, just one ball left of the over. That was absolutely hilarious. Just seeing a man straight in the side of the bobs with a beach ball. Came in at some speed.
That's why they get so worked up about them in Melbourne when the stewards deflate them. There's big booing. It's such a ritual.
It is.
You see, you've got to take in a couple of decoy beach balls, haven't you? You've got to send the stewards off in one direction while you're playing with the beach ball in the other direction. As Broad is in for the last ball of the over. That beats the outside edge of Mitchell. That's the first one that's really shaped.
It is.
Everything's been barrel gun straight so far. It's the first one that's had any sort of shape. Too good for Mitchell, which shows how good a ball it is if it's going to beat the outside edge of these pair. 258 for 5's your total, Jez.
So more from our man on the ground. Matthew Callan says, update on the Bairstow autograph I just got. Quite a large crowd of children formed after I got my hat signed, and Bairstow signed a few things before sending most back to their seats so the people behind them could see. Got a big round of applause for it.
Nice one.
And Ferron gives us Blundell Mitchell partnerships this series. First test 9 and 216, second test 236 and 45, third test 120 and 96. Not out.
I think Jacob is signalling.
There's a change in the bowling because we watch a man extravagantly eat cheesecake. this man will bowl the next over.
Coming up, here's a face that I know. It's Jack Leach. Now coming up is Jack Leach. On Jack Leach.
Now this is very interesting by Captain Stokes. Leach around the wicket. And that's on the middle and leg stump. Blundell defends. So no Overton.
No Overton. It's a great investment of confidence in Leach, from which he in turn will take a great deal of confidence, one imagines.
What my assumption is that because the ball's quite new, it'll be it might be easier for him to grip and maybe easier for him to spin, or do you need a little bit given the ball to give it a proper rip?
Well, I think the orthodox thinking is it's harder for the spinner with the new ball, with the proud seam. So
that pitch is on maybe just a shade outside. Turns prestigiously and hits Mitchell on the pad. A quasi appeal by Leach, which eventually gets succumbed. But that's turned a long way.
I assume he meant prodigiously, although also prestigiously, Al.
Well, indeed. Either or.
Either will do. Either will do.
Yeah. The next ball will be spoken by an actor as that ball is turned behind square on the offside by Blundell, half fielded by short backward point.
I can tell you from my local weather station that he's bowling into a very stiff breeze around 25 kilometres an hour.
I think that's got to help, hasn't it?
This is great. Messi, you're on great background context.
And beaten the outside edge, and it's also beaten Billings' gloves as well. Root died, couldn't stop it, and so one assumes, as the total ticks to 260, that those were buys.
Now, from the jaw clenching, is there a suggestion that I might have just kissed the edge? Let's have a quick look again.
It looked like it kissed.
Yes, it's an edge.
So that should that takes Blundell to 50.
It does.
50 in 20 matches.
And you know that can't be bad. Yeah, it's 50, and you know you should be glad.
Defended off the back foot.
It's an odd one because it was played with quite soft hands, that edge, and it fell just short of Root. I don't think you could really count it as a chance. It fell a foot in front of him.
20 matches for Blundell. It's the 10th time he's reached 50. He's got 300s to his name. As that spins a mile. That spins an absolute mile, and
it was off the pitch, dude, not off the rough stuff.
Mitchell's in no position to be able to play it, and in the end it goes thudding into the gloves of Billings. But that is all the inspiration you need. That should be Leach from one end for the next 3/4 of an hour to an hour. Absolutely.
Right, we're due a change. I think, Al, you're staying on with me and Hendo. Or is it Messers staying on?
No,
I think it might be me.
It's Al. It's Al on the socials, Hendo on the summarising, me on the ball by ball. Let me frame up the right folk. And Hendo and I should be appearing on your YouTube screens now. Hello, everyone. I am joined by Al Hotchkiss and Gorilla Hendo.
It is I.
How are you?
I'm all right, but I
haven't seen you in ages, since half an hour ago in the room next door.
I should tell the tale of the beer, actually.
In comes Broad. Yeah, we should. Oh, that's an edge, and it's dropped short. It's dropped short, and it's burst through Root's hand. It's going to go down to the third man boundary, unfortunately for Root, and it's going to go for one of these. And that also brings up this between these two batsmen.
Bowling attack has been survived and sometimes even plundered. The partnership has persisted and now has reached 100.
As in comes Broad, defended, no run.
Brook was kind of half backing away from that one, wasn't he? By the time it reached him, he didn't seem too interested in stopping it.
It kind of irritates me how rarely we have third men, or the third as it's known these days. The amount of runs that go down there, either by getting through the slips, or being dropped or whatever, just really irritates me, because you don't deserve 4 runs for that shot, and too often batsmen get it because they will not protect that area.
Is the thinking that it's more of a run-saving measure than a wicket-taking measure?
Yeah, it is. But I mean, if you're thinking that putting someone at extra cover is a run-saving measure rather than wicket-taking measure, it's the same thing, really, as far as I'm concerned.
That's driven straight back to Broad, who fields off his own bowling. No run.
Blundell, how many 50s has he got in this series now?
3 or 4?
Three 50s and 100, is it? Or
I think he's got maybe 2 50s and 100.
2 50s and 100.
He got that 96.
No, it must be 3.
Then 100, and then did he get a 50 in the first inning?
Yeah, he got not in this one, but
3 50s and 100.
3 50s and 100. Yeah. Wow.
They've unearthed a couple of beauties, haven't they, in this pair? Because they're both relatively inexperienced, aren't they?
They are.
Mitchell, particularly. This is his 13th Test match. Yeah. Lucky number 13 for Daryl Mitchell. He's on 48, by the way. I feel I should just mention that. As in comes Broad, left alone by Mitchell, well wide actually outside the off stump. He's quite a long way across.
Yeah, he's done a lot of leaving today, and he's left pretty well. Mitchell, for a man who's, by nature an attacking player, he's had to just rein in those instincts a little bit to ensure that New Zealand can set England a difficult target here. I mean, we've almost had 100 runs now today. I think it's 96. So the lead has gone up from 137 to 233. And 1 or 2 hitters down the order to come as well.
In comes Broad, pumping those legs, long legs. Oh, edgy, but down a third man, and Hendo gasps in exasperation as I am forced, almost against my will, to play this jingle.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Oh, and this jingle as well. That is Daryl Mitchell's 5th Test 50 as 12 matches to go with 400s. So in 24-ish Test innings, he's got 9 scores over 50.
It's pretty good conversion rate, that, isn't
tremendous. It's tremendous. It really is.
As in for the final ball of this over is Broad, and defended, and no run. End of the over, 268 for 5. Lead is 237. Al Hotchkiss.
The Bear says 3-hour stint like yesterday, Jacob and Al. No, actually, this is my last session, and then I have to leave to do family things. Andrew Miller set the field for hooks and pound the head, and then drop in the odd Yorker and keep them guessing FFS.
I think we've done that, actually. I think we tried that this morning.
Yeah.
It's brutal from Andrew.
Brian in Brisbane, third man is needed to save runs when you're not taking wickets.
Well, yes, and we're certainly not taking wickets now. Another thing I'd say about that is if you were being carted through extra cover twice and over, you put a man back eventually.
Yeah, and the last comment from the Bear on here is that's another quid in the swear jar with the second shot down the third man area.
That's not the real Bear though, is it? Who is that?
I don't think so.
And here's Leach, gets some turn tucked off the legs by Blundell. No run. Go on, Hendo, tell the beer story.
The beer story is quite entertaining because just before lunch you may have noticed that Jacob had to nip out. We had a ringing of the doorbell. Very, very dramatic stuff it was. And he went down, came back and said, yeah, it's beer from Brian.
For Brian.
Well, I thought he said beer from Brian.
As that's defended. No run.
So when I got out there at the break, I said, where's the beer from Brian? And he said, it wasn't beer from Brian, it's beer for Brian. Then there is no one called Brian. And in fact there was. It is Brian. It's Brian Cusack. He said, I don't know anyone called Brian Cusack. We do, it's Brian.
As that's driven off the back foot, out into the deep cover for 1 run.
Yeah.
1 run.
And the worrying thing was, of course, that we'd actually missed out on the beer. That was the most important thing, that we'd missed out on all this beer, and there's only 2 of us here. But fortunately, you managed to retrieve the situation.
As I nipped out for lunch, the delivery man was still attempting to find Brian Cusack at 29, whatever the address of this apartment is, and so I said, "Oh, I'm sorry, we've made a terrible mistake. It's from Brian, not for Brian." As that's defended, because I only know him as Brian from Brisbane. I don't know his name. As that's defended, by Mitchell, no run.
But you will know from now on.
I will now know if that Brian Cusack sends us beer. It's not for Brian, it's from Brian, and we are very grateful, Brian. As that swept hard, it will beat the fielder. It's a lovely shot, and it will go away for one of these. Well, Leach can't be as happy with this over as he was with the last, even though he's still getting some good turn, but not as much.
It's not regular turn, though, is it? It's occasional turn.
There's some dark footmarks, a bit wide for the right-hander. I think he was fine. Yeah, I think he was finding it a bit easier with Blundell, even though Blundell's still a right-hander, so I don't know what I'm talking about. Mitchell's defended for no run. End of the over. Ow.
So, now, the bear on YouTube. It is the real me, Hendo.
Oh, it is.
Just keeping an eye on you guys.
That could be a double bluff.
Yeah, but yeah. When it's the bear, not the bear. When it's the bear. He also says, "I need the patrons to order food to my house again." #HungryBear.
Good try, mate. Good try.
Nicely done. In fact, the bear in quotation marks. Either me or Hendo may be on. Well, probably me. I'll probably be on a 3-hour stint in the sense that Bennett is on next, and he
also,
might not turn up again.
He says, "Brian Cusack is my alias. I can't have all these beer orders coming. I named the wife to kill me."
Good try.
We've got a change of bowling. I'll jingle him up after he does this ball. It's bowled. Oh, it's an LBW. Shows Matthew Potts. He's a big appeal, and he's given him. Big in-swinger from Potts, striking Blundell in front of the leg stump. I have no doubt it'll be reviewed, but I'm pretty sure it looked like it was going on to hit leg unless he's got an inside edge.
It looks stone dead, doesn't it, Hendo?
Looked a good shout to me. As you say, it's a lot of it will depend on whether he's got a bit of an edge on it.
I'm holding off on the wicket jingle. It's been reviewed. I was going to jingle Potts up after this ball. God, look at the excitement. That's cross seam, wobble seam, gone back in. It's hit him on the front pad. It's pretty definitely missed the inside edge, and it looks like it's crashing into the middle of leg stump.
Well, we can definitely see. In the shot, I can see off stump behind the bat and
a bit of middle behind his back pad.
A bit of middle. So
I think
umpire's call might be the saving grace.
The fact that he's barely got forward, has he? I mean, that's
on the knee roll, but not nearly as far forward as earlier on.
I think that's hitting leg, at least umpire's call. As we see the replay here, in it comes, pitches just on the off stump. Oh, is it going down? Missing the wickets! It's missing! And the decision will be overturned. Matthew Potts is one of the unluckiest men in the world. Umpire Kettleborough will have to overturn his decision, and I won't play a wicket jingle. Instead, I'll play Matthew Potts's. Here it is.
I've heard from Potts that the kettle's a filthy black. You know he might do. Let's bring him into the attack.
Well,
how much luck can this pair have?
Oh, stop it with luck. It's either it's a binary thing. It's either hitting or it's not hitting. That's not unlucky.
Well, I think it's possibly the angle that he bowled. He was a little bit wider on the crease, and that's probably saved Blundell there.
It feels like luck, Al. It feels like it.
But it isn't luck.
As in comes Potts again, and again tries to swing one in. That one's defended on the off stump by Blundell. Out into the offside. He'll get a single and get off strike. Potts looks unhappy with the decision of DRS, but cannot be argued.
The interesting thing, Jacob, about it all though is that it looked out And then with each review that each time we saw it, it looked less and less. It was just, so by the time it actually got to like DRS and you could see the 3 stumps, it's like, oh, hang on.
Actually, as in comes Potts, and defended by Mitchell for no run. The big question over the next 20 minutes is, in comparison to yesterday, is Bennett going to arrive?
I can see he's there waiting to come in.
Oh, he's waiting to come in. So
There he is.
I'll admit him to the Zoom chat. He shouldn't be on yet, but he can be on the Zoom chat. So I won't have to do a 3-hour stint.
Hey.
That's most gratifying.
Yeah, I think it's kind of a bit of a dagger in the heart for England, isn't it? Because there's just nothing gone for them so far today. Not necessarily in terms of luck, but it's just not been their day.
Here comes Potts, smile on his face, defended by Mitchell, no run.
They needed the lift of a wicket. They need the lift of a wicket greatly, because the lead is advanced now to 243. It's getting to very awkward proportions. I mean, even if you got the wicket of one of these now, still got to get rid of 4 more New Zealand batsmen. And all right, they don't bat. Well, they do bat deep, actually. I mean, Trent Boult's the highest run-scoring number 11 in the world.
In comes Potts. Look like there's an appeal. I think there's an inside. It's given LBW, and it's going to be reviewed immediately. It's struck Daryl Mitchell on the front pad, and
he's taken a big stride across.
Given, yeah, he's gone a long way across, but also quite a way forward. I thought he might have edged it. I tentatively click back onto the wicket section of the jingles, and let's have a look at this DRS.
I think it's a good shot.
He's a long way across.
You can see all of leg stump.
Oh, that's a good shout if it's not high. Yeah, he's a little bit outside his crease, but I think that could be hitting the top of the stump.
He thought about that a long time, did Richard Kettleborough, and I was thinking to myself, that looks quite good. But again, it could be one of those...
There's no edge. You can see leg stump behind his back pad. So height is going to be the only issue. Height is will be the only issue.
He takes a guard well outside his crease, does Mitchell, which helps things for him.
Let's have a look. But he's not a hugely tall man, as we see the replay here. It's in line and wickets hitting. It's hitting the top of leg stump. Mitchell is gone. Mitchell is gone for 56, I believe, and umpire Kettleborough will stay with his decision. And well, I finally get to play this.
Another one bites the dust. I think that is going to be out, Fred. Another one bites the dust.
That's my favourite wicket jingle, and I've reserved it for Daryl Mitchell getting out here. LBW to a very deserving Matthew Potts.
Absolutely. I mean, to come back 2 balls after having that sort of blow in not being overturned, and to then get possibly the one that you wanted more than the other, Daryl Mitchell, out, is a fantastic boon for England. Absolutely.
And again, the game has changed. It's now Blundell and Bracewell. The problematic partnership of Blundell and Mitchell has been broken, and they're still 57 runs away from a lead of 300, and
so,
there have been 3 chases at this ground over 300, 2 of them in the last 5 years, and the highest chase here is 404 for 3 by Australia in 1948.
The Invincibles, I believe, Bradford's Invincibles.
So all the talk on YouTube, really kind of the idea of the first one can't be unlucky because it's just not hitting the stumps. Dean McQuillan, what happened? Just had a shout before taking my son to bed. Andrew Miller, not out if it hit his bat. DRS says no. Andrew Miller, that's BS. The other one looked more out than that. I think that's kind of what we said looking at the two decisions, is that the first one looked out and turned out not to be, and the second one looked harmless and innocuous, and turns out that's the one that's out. And but we've got to jingle up our new batsman.
Well, yeah, we have a new batsman, and he has a jingle, and it goes like this.
Even if my club race well, sturdily keeps wicket, knowing how the Kiwis pick teams, he'll be just 1 of 5.
And Matthew Potts has one ball left in this now extremely productive over, with a turned down LBW shout, a successful LBW shout, and he is round the wicket to Bracewell and defended solidly and firmly by the New Zealand spin bowling all-rounder. 274 for 6, the score at the end of the 91st over. The lead by is 243, and Al Hotchkiss will read out your social media messages.
Neymar Botlin's just waking up in LA, misread the score, thought they were 9 down. Imagine my surprise to see Zippy and Bungle at the crease. Hashtag depressed. Technically, Dave Wood says, technically, if you were being carted through extra cover twice and over, you bowl a different length.
You'd hope so.
Messages: Daryl Mitchell in tests, 7 tests versus all teams other than England, average 30.5. 5 tests versus England, average 88.1. And O'Neill Harris, thanks for the brilliant coverage, Gorillas. The Bear Wicket jingle is one of my favourites also. We need one with a hando rant.
You're out, mate! Get out!
And here comes Jack Leach to Blundell. And, close to the inside edge of the bat. Again, there's no short leg, which is a constant cause of irritation to myself. But there is a leg slip and a slip. And that's it for your close field for Jack Leach facing the right-handed Blundell. In he comes, and bat in front of pad. Blundell defending nicely, covering off that front pad.
I thought there was an interesting decision by Kettleborough, that LBW, the one that was actually given, given and proved to be out, in the sense that I feel that he was slightly worried about giving a second one in the over.
That's turned, and I think it's taken the edge and it's beaten the Root, who's at slip, and surely he must be too wide there.
Too wide.
Because he's missed 2 to his left-hand side.
Yep.
Yeah, that's the second time that's happened since lunch.
And it's gone off the edge to third man for one of these.
1 2 ka 4 4 2 ka 1. My name is Lakhan. My name is Lakhan.
Although in fairness, I think that came off the back pad, not the edge.
No, I don't think it was the edge. I think it was the edge. I was looking closely because I thought at first it didn't.
He's on 57, so that came off the bat.
Right.
And now they're talking about him going
Root has now stepped in a step narrower, a step finer, and the phrase about horses and bolting comes to mind.
Indeed.
As in comes Leach, back foot, defence by Blundell. No run. He's bowled a couple of beauties, Leach. He's been unlucky.
Yeah, I mean, he could have. He's got 1 for 49. He could have 3 for 49 quite easily, or 3 for less than that.
As he twiddles the ball between thumb and forefinger at the top of his mark. In he comes. Too wide, too short, cut hard. There's a sweeper out there who will stop the boundary, and Michael Bracewell will come on to strike against Jack Leach for 1 ball of the over.
Well, he might like to get over the wicket to the left-hander. That might just make him happier. Yeah, I mean, that first slip is crazily wide.
We're seeing it again here, the replay of the last one. It was Blundell as well, and both times Root lost the catch diving to his left.
I don't want to sound pedantic, but Root hasn't dived either time. Root fell to the ground. He hasn't moved to his left or his right. He's just kind of dropped to the floor.
Well, he's not seen it until late, but I mean, you're only going to you don't see those until late when you're at first slip, and he does need to be much tighter.
There is a short leg in for Bracewell, who defends off the back foot. Leach looks dismayed. No run. End of the over. 279 for 6. Lead of 248. Ow.
Brian Barish. G'day, cricket friends. On my way to Exton, PA, to call my second live match of the weekend. This one between the DC Hawks and the New England Eagles. The latter featuring former West Indies international Devendra Bishop.
Good on you, Brian. Hello to my best friend, Brian Barish. Well-known best friend of mine.
Why is this?
Well known.
Well, why are you such good friends?
I don't know. We've just decided. We were on commentary for a test match a while ago, and we just kind of mutually decided that we're best friends now.
Okay.
You can't decide who your best friend is.
Well, we both did. We took a vote.
Life and opportunity and circumstance dictates who your best friend is.
We took a vote, and Brian Barish is my best friend, and I'm his. That's just how it works.
I thought maybe you just had that feeling in your hearts that you were sort of kindred souls.
I think that's what motivated the vote.
True.
As in comes Potts. Clipped off the hip by Blundell down towards deep square leg. Will they go for 2? No, they won't. Good arm. Don't challenge it. Potts with figures of 3 for 36, 3 for 37 now from 18 overs. So he's gone at just over, well, he's gone at 2 and over, really. And 3 wickets.
He went at less than 2 and over in the first innings as well, didn't he? So you can't get him away, even if he isn't taking wickets. He's a very difficult bowler seemingly to get away.
He's going to have a very nice, tidy average.
Yeah.
Seems like a lot of admin for best friendship.
It does, doesn't it? But it was all very quick and informal, as it should be. As he's round the wicket to Bracewell. Oh, has that beaten the outside edge? It's beaten it, but not touched it. It's just straightened. Really nice movement from Potts. It's just straightened enough. A little too much, indeed. Off an angle, and Bracewell's had a slightly lackadaisical drive at it, and it's beaten the bat.
Yeah, the amount of movement really suggested to you that he's got an outside edge, didn't it?
Jack Leach would be happy, wouldn't he, with that much turn, Hendo?
Possibly.
God. As Potts in again to Bracewell, and this time straighter coming in towards the off stump of the left-hander and defended nicely for no run.
So finally, England have got a breakthrough. It's taken them, 112 runs near enough to 110 runs, I think it is.
But they need to go bang bang now, don't they?
They do need a bang bang, yes, absolutely.
They need something special from probably one of these two, Leach or Potts. Something just to, sort of Neil Wagner from yesterday, 2 in and over, something like that, just to really get them going. Yeah. As Bracewell defends up to mid-on for no run.
I think Bracewell is a very good batsman to be coming in at number 8, to be honest. He looks very well organised to me. Got some shots. He looks fluent. Okay, didn't get that many runs in the first innings. He looked quite good up until the point he got out. And as we know, he comes from a very good cricketing family in New Zealand. And he seems to have absorbed all that muscle memory.
He certainly can bat. As Potts comes around the wicket to him with 3 slips and defended nicely again, this time off the back foot by Bracewell.
I think he's brought someone in at silly mid-off or maybe off Hayden as well. If it's the off Hayden, I don't like it. If it's silly mid-off, I'm quite happy with it.
I think it's
somewhere
Stokes
between the two.
I think Stokes is a sort of short... Oh no, I think that's an Overton in there. Or
it's an Overton.
Jamie Overgrown, as he was referred to earlier. At that... Yeah, not quite an off Hayden. It's a silly mid-off, but not quite there either.
That's right.
A very short mid-off.
Yeah.
Halfway down the pitch. As that's left alone by Bracewell. A little bit of movement, a little bit of wobble after the stumps. 280 for 6 after 93. We'll have one more over and then a change. Al Hotchkiss.
So, Andrew Miller on YouTube. Keep the new batter on strike and batter him. D. McCullen, agreed. I prefer third man than fine leg. Andrew Miller, yeah, fine. Agreed. Third man for me. Southee, Root, not a good slip fielder, question mark. Andrew Miller, get Leach off now. Target the new batsman with fast stuff. Andrew Miller, Root catches more than he drops. Does
Andrew Miller know that the aim of cricket is to get the batsman out, not to kill him?
Hey, listen. However, they're not batted. The Bear says, is my 5% laptop charging?
Yes, it is, Bear, currently, and then it will go down to 5% again. Now, Headingley have just announced day 5. They've taken a leaf out of Trent Bridges' book, and I think this is a really good tradition for English cricket to start. Day 5 tickets are free.
Do you know, one administrator said to another, fancy another Trent Bridge?
As Leach bowls, gets some turn, gets it to straighten, and Blundell just defends, propping forward. Yeah, I mean, the atmosphere there was brilliant, and it's really good to see administrators now saying, well, look, we can give up a couple £100 on gate revenue, as Blundell comes down the pitch and defends, and instead have a full house, get young people in, get them enthused about Test cricket, and, people will buy food and drink there, all that sort of thing will still happen, so they'll still make money, and they'll get a brilliant atmosphere, a full house, and more people watching Test cricket, which is good all round, as that's defended by Blundell. I'm quite an extremist on this.
This only happens for exciting tests, right? If it's going to be a
bore draw,
boring, yeah. then you still have to pay £100.
I'm quite an extremist on this, especially places like Lords where charge £110 a ticket, as that's defended by Blundell. I think they should at least, take a section of a stand and block it out for reduced or free tickets for school children in the holidays.
If I've got a day 5 ticket, do I get my money back?
Yes, you do.
Yeah. As in comes Leach. Blundell tries to come down the track and clips into the leg side. No run to short mid-wicket. Yeah, I think we need to be doing a lot more. Lords can spare the money of 10 rows of seats on day 1 or 2, especially if it's on a weekend, day 3, day 4 on the weekend. Get kids in, get them watching Test cricket, get them enjoying it. Blundell defends off the back foot. End of the over. We actually have time for one more over before a change because Leach really motors through them. So we'll do that. Ow.
Name our Butlins. Can I be your brother from another mother? Brian Barish also wants to shout out the Bear, Knackle and Tony Bishop and the rest of the callers for allowing me to be commentary on GC. My co-commenter praised my discipline and I attribute that to their guidance. But not his best friend. That seems cruel. Name our Butlins that Brian has not brought enough beer to be anyone's friend. That seems, again, harsh.
Despite being my best friend, he doesn't know my Twitter handle, so...
Well, apparently not. So...
That's why I've been left out. As Potts... Oh! There's an LBW shout! It's a big one! It's not been given. They didn't even bother fielding the ball. They were so convinced, were they, of the veracity of Potts' LBW claim. And it looks like none of them are particularly keen on reviewing. I think that was going down the leg side.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, the angle would have taken it. It wasn't swinging particularly, but I think it was just the angle. And it was an afterthought, the LBW there. You just thought, hang on for a second, maybe.
Come on, if this was Stuart Broad, that would have been reviewed.
I mean, you can see leg stump behind his pads, but it is going down the leg side.
If that was Stuart Broad, Stokes' hands would have made the tee shake.
Well, it could actually. The more you look at it, the better the shout becomes.
I think we'll see a DRS of that in a minute, and it's not. It's going down. As it's clipped off the hip by Blundell. No run to short mid-wicket.
You hope for Potts' sake that it's going down, because you'd hate to see him denied another wicket. Here it is.
Bracewell withdraws the leg, impact in line, wickets missing. Only by a tiny bit, though.
Yeah, very close.
By less than half an inch.
Yeah, that is close.
Good decision though again by
little grin from Richard Kettleborough, as I think he's been told, you've got that one right, Dickie.
Yeah, he'll be happy with that. He's got a couple right in the last couple of overs.
As in over the wicket to the right-handed Blundell comes. Potts defended, dropped down to his feet, no run.
I'm curious in these Blundell stroke Mitchell partnerships that we've seen. What has happened after one of them has gone? Has the other gone quickly? Or has he stuck around?
No, it's usually been Mitchell outlasting Blundell, and so usually Blundell went for either 90 or 50 odd, and then
Mitchell went on to 100.
Mitchell went on to get 160.
Yeah, 190.
Or 190, but we'll see what Blundell does here. That short pulled, he just helps it on its way, really. There is a fine leg coming round, and he will stop a boundary, so they'll just get a single to give Potts 2 balls at Bracewell.
I think it's interesting because if, as you say, Mitchell has gone on when he's lost Blundell, can Blundell push on now that he's lost Mitchell? As he's lost his best... We're talking of best friends. He's lost his best friend at the other end. Can he now help New Zealand up to that lead of 300 or so?
As in comes Potts, driven nicely actually by Bracewell, but there is a fielder there. There's a tweet from Jay Grover about me which has made me chuckle as I'm trying to do ball by ball, but I'm sure we'll get that after this over as I actually end my stint. 1 ball left in this over, and then you'll be joined by, for the first time this series I think, Bennett will be coming in to do ball by ball, since he didn't turn up yesterday. Bennett, sorry, I love you really. Messers will be coming back on to do the socials and Southee, so we will have Zoom in triplicate.
This power that you've got has gone straight to your head.
Yeah, as in comes Potts, driven off the back foot by Bracewell. Oh, it's going out towards the boundary. They'll get two diving fielder. They'll come back for a third as it's stopped by the fielder on the deep mid-wicket boundary. That's 3 runs to get Bracewell off the mark. End of the over, 285 for 6, and I'll play a little jingle about Patreon.
Before you do, Jacob, I just want to check with Hendo. Do you want us to do an extra 10 minutes for this session? Because we've got an extra 20 minutes before tea. So if we cut...
No, don't worry. I'll do the last one. Don't worry.
Okay. So here's a little Patreon jingle while we change over.
Yep. You owe us all right. You think this alternative cricket commentary stuff comes cheap? Well, we need some dollar bills to help pay our bills, so please go to patreon.com/GorillaCricket and sign up to make a regular monthly donation. You know there's literally nothing like Gorilla Cricket's coverage, so don't be tight. Dip into your virtual pocket and throw some cash our way. See, Rihanna knows. Patreon.com/GorillaCricket.
Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome, listeners. My apologies, Jacob, for yesterday. Yes, you're absolutely right there. So my name is Bennett Olagasegram. I'll be here, and as I start in, what a start! As I come in, I think Bracewell has just whacked Leach over the long on area for a mighty 6. Welcome, Bennett, to the commentary box. 40.
It's a 6. It's beautiful and it's mine.
Right. Well, Bracewell has been the one player who wants to play England style in this series so far, so this should be quite fun.
Indeed, and he's looked quite good, hasn't he? Yeah, he's just looked good, and it's Jack Leach's time left arm around the wicket. This one's on a good line and a good length. And Bracewell watchfully plays it on the onside, no chance of run. Bracewell has been the find of the series for the New Zealanders, you would reckon, 40?
Well, if we overlook Daryl Mitchell, then yes.
But Daryl Mitchell, everyone knew what he was capable of. Oh, this one's again on the off stump, and he hits it hard and high, and yes, and he's caught. He's going for one too many on this side, on the leg side. Bracewell, he's short but very adventurous stint, and the wicket comes to an end. Bracewell caught in the deep there, on the deep square leg region of the bowling of Leach, and New Zealand lose their 7th wicket, 291
Just
to 7.
fuck off!
Ooh. It's not for me, Jacob.
No, that's the wicket jingle. Bennett, don't worry.
Absolutely. So the person who took the catch there was Zach Crawley. Zach Crawley. So England looking quite penetrative this session, you reckon, Ian?
Yes, I would say so. And, my apologies for my smart-ass comment about Daryl Mitchell. The only reason I said it is because Daryl Mitchell had only played 9 tests and only scraped 1 century before that, and has gone on to break numerous records during it. But yes, Mitchell's played well as well. They'll be very pleased with his couple of wickets. It's boiling up, isn't it, Bennett, into a really exciting finish this match?
Indeed. This is looking like... we had that thorn in the flesh, didn't we? Blundell and Daryl Mitchell, they've done it over and over again. It's almost like Blundell versus England in this series when they actually start to bat. For a moment I thought it was going to go into one of those long partnerships, but thanks to Potts has been really impressive, hasn't he, today?
Oh, totally.
Yeah?
Totally. I'm hugely impressed by Potts. Yes, if there was a flaw in his armoury, perhaps he only bowls around 82, but he comes in all day. He's built like an ox, looks super fit. Yeah. He is holding this England attack together today.
Indeed.
Really.
And he's very skiddy and deceptive off the pitch, and besides, I like his attitude. You see every time he celebrates after a wicket, or he's got so much passion, doesn't he? And he tries. Yes. He's a smart cricketer. He thinks he's actually got his heart up his sleeve. And not only that, his interview yesterday with Nazar Hussain, I was very impressed. He was composed. and he knew exactly which words to choose. He was articulate, he was very thoughtful, and I think, touch wood, I hope it's not, I hope he won't prove me wrong, but I think he's got a long career ahead of him, injury barring, all the curse that comes to the English fast bowlers these days with injury, isn't it? But injury barring, I really think we've found a gem here in this series, Matty Potts. So
agreed, totally agreed. Every side really needs a workhorse, don't they? An Angus Fraser, someone who can get through the hard yards when the Flash Harrys are taking a break, if you like.
Indeed,
And,
Matthew Hoggard, isn't it?
Absolutely,
Yeah.
he's Matthew Hoggard. He even bowls a little like Matthew Hoggard.
Absolutely, and Potts certainly has been impressive, and I think it would do him no harm to have his club teammate who's backed him to the tilt here as captaining the team as well. And I think it's the confidence that oozes out, isn't it? It's the confidence you have in your young players. You could see that he feels a sense of belonging in the way he continues to sort of perform, and again how Stokes uses him so strategically. I mean, yesterday I was watching Root pick up a wicket, and then Kane Williams is batting on the other side, and hey presto, you would expect a wicket-taking bowler to continue. But Stokes knows the kind of partnership that sort of Potts had in with yes, sorry, I think I'm being asked to zero jingle on.
Pause for the jingle.
Sorry, yeah.
To fly with Tim Southee tonight. I probably won't fly with Tim Southee. And again, I'm just mine.
My apologies, Jacob. So yeah, New Zealand lead by 260. Blundell on 60, and Southee the new man in. And this one's a shortish delivery just outside the off stump, and Southee giving himself room and trying to stay it on the offside, not getting any luck with the field placing there. Southee, he knows only one way to go, doesn't it, Ian? He likes to hit the ball,
Yes,
and here he comes in. Leach, this one's on the middle end leg, and Southee smothers the spin, and the ball goes towards the onside.
Biggest percentage of sixes of any batsman in Test cricket, as we've mentioned before.
And I do remember him scoring a maiden 50 in his very first debut, if you remember. Here he comes in Leach. This one's over-pitched, driven, and past the extra cover fielder there. Was that in the air?
It was in the air, and Potts very nearly clung on to an absolute zinger there, but couldn't quite make it.
A diving Matt Potts there, a short extra cover, marks the end of over number 96. New Zealand lead by 260, 291 for 7, Blundell 60, Southee 0. Messi.
Thanks, Bennett. The number of comments on YouTube wondering what the hell Bracewell thought he was doing, something so harebrained. I mean, Southee's one thing, you expect that, but for Bracewell to do that coming in at number 8 was just crazy. Jay Grover says, despite Jacob's skill in Mexican floor wrestling, his "I am an extremist in this" sounds somewhat unthreatening. Just Ideal says, dare I suggest a random jingle in Ray the New England style to the tune of Gangman Style? With thanks to Ian Forth for the inspiration.
Right, a new over commences. Matty Potts is in charge of proceedings here over number 97. Blundell 60 on strike. Certainly he's really looking strong as an ox, as Ian sort of mentioned earlier. He's had an excellent series, and I think certainly he's going to give a headache in terms of selection as time goes on. Matty Potts looking strong as ever. Right arm over, charging in past the umpire, outside the off stump, and glided beautifully there by Blundell. Intentionally played a shortish delivery. Blundell seeing the ball like a football, having been there for almost 130 deliveries, glides it to the Waker third man delivery for a boundary.
I just like to defend Bracewell for a moment, if I may. I think he has probably got carte blanche to give it the long handle, and if it comes off, it comes off. If it doesn't, because a quick 30 or 40 could really have taken the match away from England.
As Matt Potts, this one's a good delivery outside the off at 82 miles per hour, sort of swinging in, and Blundell covers his wicket, watchfully plays it on the onside, no chance. But he's in the same mood of a Stuart Broad, isn't he? He knows only one way to go, Southee. But however, Southee they're quite similar. I mean, it was nice to see Stuart get some runs in the first innings. I mean, having said that, he was an opening bat when he started his career, and we cannot forget that famous century he made, isn't it? 157 in the Ashes. This one's again a quicker one. Blundell tucks it away towards the square leg area. The batsmen go for one reluctantly, looking for two, but Blundell charges into the strikers, and Southee was unsure of that, but however calls on to his partner, and the batsmen come back for two. Blundell keen to keep strike here, leading by 266. Ian, but having this lead, I know it's a great thing. We did it before in Trent Bridge, but I'm just weary of the Boult assault, the thunderbolt in the form of Trent Boult. Certainly, he was bowling all day, all night, wasn't he?
I think, as they say in Hollywood, nobody knows anything in this series. Any predictions really go out the window, which are based on the past. We just have to see what happens in the future.
Agreed in the end. Matt Potts comes in. Matt Potts, this one's on the off stump, and Blundell plays it on the front foot towards the onside. I think he got a bit of a shock there on his hands as he was playing defensively. Usually, sometimes when the ball comes in hard on the top of the bat, sometimes you can actually get a bit of electric shock there. That's what's happened here to Blundell, feeling a bit uncomfortable. I think he hit his glove in the process as well. He removed his glove, looking to see if there's any damage done. And certainly Matt Potts will be licking his lips now, thinking, "Oh my God, I've got an advantage here in this time." What's happened to our wicketkeeper, Ben Foakes?
He's got
Foakes
COVID.
has got both COVID and a bad back. So take your pick.
Wow.
So they picked COVID because then you get a substitute.
Indeed. And Billings comes in, isn't it, as a substitute? So here he comes in. This one's Potty on the off stump on a fuller length. Blundell trying to drive, nowhere near the back. I think that kind of shot earlier on, Ian, certainly has made him feel uncomfortable and more conscious, isn't it?
Yes,
this is like the famous Bodyline series where they target the body and then make the batsman make the mistakes and ball the good balls.
There might be something in that. Messi, how are we looking on the show?
Well, I actually just want to contest what you had to say about Bracewell. He's not like Broad.
Going to come back at me.
Broad's got a first-class batting average of under 20. He's got one first-class 100. Bracewell is a proper first-class batter. He's got an average of 33. He's got 11 first-class centuries. You can't just go and play that sort of innings when that's not your style. He's got a strike rate in first-class cricket of 52. That's how he makes his runs. It's nuts to think you can suddenly take on the Bairstow way of doing things. I think it was irresponsible.
We're in the beginning of a new over now. Jack Leach, and this one's a quick single. I'm not sure whether that's required of them at this stage, but Southee keen to get onto the non-striker's end, and Blundell is vice versa, looking to come down to the striker's end. But that was a cheeky run on the square leg area. But the batsmen sort of go through nevertheless. 298 for 7. It's easier said than done sometimes, isn't it? Like, having spoken about Bracewell's dismissal, if it had come off and cleared the rope, everyone would be like, wow, he's attacking, putting the sword back again to the English bowlers. But here he comes in. This one's on the off stump, and Blundell watchful this time. I think that sort of knock on his glove or his fingers has made him a little bit more apprehensive here.
Yeah, I agree with that. He can play my games for the. It was odd, isn't it? Because it didn't actually strike him on his gloves. It struck him on the bat handle, and as you say, it's almost like an electric charge went through him.
Yeah, that generally happens. It's happened to me on a couple of occasions. Sometimes, if it hits the wrong end of the bat, it can trigger a bit of a shock there. The next ball is on the Midland leg, played watchfully back to Jack Leach. Jack Leach, a good test area end for him. 5 in the first innings, bowling quite tidily, you reckon? As the next ball, we come back to that. Leach comes in. This one's over pitched on the leg stump, and Blundell pouncing on that, sweeps it, but not effectively though. It goes straight to the fielder there, Jamie Overton, who comes in and picks up. No chance of a run.
I think spinners feel that they have to have the patronage of their captain, and poor old Ajaz Patel, by contrast, on the New Zealand side, must feel like he has the complete opposite.
Jack Leach comes in, shortish delivery, and it's just nicely played away towards extra coverage and no chance of run. Talking about Ajaz Patel, do you realise that he took 10 wickets in a test not long ago, and he was dropped the following test?
I'm very well aware of that, Bennett, indeed, yes.
What could you do as a bowler? Jack Leach, this one. And this one's a shortish delivery. He plays this cuttish sort of a shot, giving himself cramped up for room, going straight to the slip. And unfortunately, Joe Root couldn't cling on to that catch. It went too quickly for his comfort. And that's a chance gone begging for Jack Leach, and looks in despair. Tim Southee gets a life. This was an equally regulation catch, I would say. And Joe Root spills not the first of this test, though. And England lose the opportunity to go on to wait. And that's the end of the over. Messi, I'll let you have a quick update. Sorry.
Okay, so Rajesh Mahan says 250 used to be a good target for a fourth innings, but it looks like even 350 isn't safe for this New England team. And Colin Soda says, wait, so has nobody questioned the guy that had a bad back, where you can't swap him, suddenly has COVID, which you can swap? And in relation to that, I'd say that Mrs. Luigi Magpie made the point that severe mid to lower back pain is often a symptom of COVID, at least in the early variants. So you have to believe what you.
I'm pretty sure. I don't think you could fake COVID. I mean, imagine if it ever was out that they had. That would be appalling. It'd be cheating.
But that's the protocol they all have to follow, I guess. So the next ball going down the leg side, and Blundell, watchful, gets inside of the line of the ball and lets it go through to Sam Billings, and Potts comes in. This one's way outside the off stump, and Blundell flirting with danger there. He had no business in that area of uncertainty there outside the off stump. Blundell seems a bit dazed after his knock. He's not looking as solid as he was. Certainly unsettled, perhaps losing a more recognized Bracewell, and now perhaps in his mind is thinking of batting with the tail. Southee is a capable batsman. We've seen him before. And so the other two to come. They can hang in at one end. Potts comes in. This one's on a good length and plays back to the mid-wicket area. No chance of run. Sorry, Ian, go on.
Yeah, no, it's okay. It's quite a hard tactical decision for Blundell, because you could easily see that they're all long handle merchants at the other end from here and in, aren't they? Southee, Boult and Wagner, essentially. And he could easily see a situation where they all, the collapse in a hurry, setting England less than 300, which, in current form they would take on and very likely get. So Blundell's really caught with a difficult decision. Does he start acting more aggressively here?
Indeed. As Potts comes in with the next ball, this one's outside the off stump, and Blundell glides it to third man, runs the first run hard, looking for the second, but there's no chance. But it's imperative that he remains at the wicket to give some stability to the batsman on the other end, and I think that's the point that I was trying to see. But on this occasion, England on the driving seat, you reckon, Ian?
I think it's I think, historically you'd say New Zealand are favourites from here and in, but this isn't history. This is today, and you would say England might have half a nose in front. I'm interested to see the ridiculous Win Viz and see what he has to say. Anyway, that's a 300 up for New Zealand.
300 up, 300 for 7. For those of you tuning in, my name is Bennett Robertson. I've got Ian fourth with me, and Messi. Good afternoon to wherever you are from in the UK and overseas. Greetings. That's a great delivery, a snorter outside the off stump, and comes in rather swinging in towards stumps, but no damage done as the ball goes to the wicket keeper. A great delivery by Matt Potts, certainly the pick of the English bowlers. New Zealand batted first, scored 329. England 360 all out. New Zealand in their second innings 300 for 7 with a lead of 269. We're on day 3 here.
I think he's just he was talking in his interview that he was just one ball he's added to his armoury is the wobble seam, and we saw it there.
Outside the off stump, moving away, and Southee watches closely as it goes through to the wicketkeeper. 300 for 7, Blundell 68, and Tim Southee with him at the other side. Messi.
So D. McQuillan asks an interesting question. Says, is Root really the best English slipsman? And given that he's no longer captain, does he need to be there? Somebody said, well, he can't throw, but you don't put someone in the slips. Well, sorry. At village cricket, you definitely put someone in the slips because they can't throw. But at this level, you definitely need someone who can catch really well. So it's a good question as to whether there's a better slipper than him.
Yeah, but Root has been a safe slipper, hasn't he, over the years? I mean, dropping 2 catches this test. has not gone his way. It's difficult sometimes when the ball comes in at a angling kind of a pace. But anyway, we'll see what happens here. It's Jack Leach over number 100, and he's bowling to Tom Blundell. That's a good delivery on middle and off, and it just turned viciously. Good take by Billings. What do you think of that, Ian?
That was almost ball of the match. That was pitched on middle and off, beat the outside edge. Too good for thee, as they would have said in Yorkshire.
Indeed. Jack Leach comes in. This one's on the leg stump, and Blundell with his dancing shoes on, trying to get to the spin of the ball, smothering the spin there. Yes, indeed, Leeds, the Yorkshire crowd certainly being entertained with some good attacking cricket. Leach looking a renewed and newborn spinner here in this test. This one's on the leg stump. Blundell not afraid to sweep, not getting hold of it. It may have been bat or pad, not sure, but however, the end result is a boundary. We'll wait for the umpire to signal, and yes, it's a bat on there. So Blundell's gone up to 72. New Zealand slowly but surely increasing their lead to 273.
Such a shame that we only get these 3 test series against New Zealand. They're always great fun, they're great entertainment, they're played in a good spirit, and they're usually extremely close with 2 very well balanced sides playing each other.
Indeed. Jack Leach comes in, and this one's a good delivery. I can see a bit played forward, no chance of run as Sam Billings picks up. Ian, I can see a bit of a renewed focus. Jack Leach getting a lot more spin on the ball in this test.
More revs. Absolutely, and it's all about the revs, isn't it? That's where you get the dip and the drift and the turn. How much rev you get?
Indeed, I can see he's just found his rhythm in this test, and that's good for English cricket, because Moeen Ali was the man who's been summoned or who's volunteered to come out of retirement. We were talking about that last time, Bear and I, when we were on commentary. However, the next ball over pitched and played towards the mid-on area. No chance of a run. Blundell 72. Jack Leach in operation. It's post-tea session here for England on day 4. 304 for 7. Jack Leach. This one's on the leg stump, and Blundell living quite dangerously there. He's trying to give room to a ball that was coming in and place it to the covers. No chance of a run. 304 for 7. Blundell 72. Southee 1. New Zealand lead by 273. Messi.
So one of our men in the ground, the light roller, sent us a photo of the most massive beer snake imaginable that's doing the rounds at Headingley, and he says the snake gets the loudest cheer. Meanwhile, there's a game of cricket going on. Josie Oak just says, "A root's eyes going," and Neymar Butland says, "Excellent commentary from Bennett. I'm so glad he missed yesterday. He seems very fresh and raring to go today."
Oh, thank you. Thank you. On yesterday's missing, I really apologize to the commentary team and to the viewers. Honestly, I wasn't aware that I was scheduled. I apologize for that. So Matt Potts comes in. This one's outside the leg stump. No chance of a run. That's no excuse, is it, Jacob? However, because I don't actually, I'm retired at the moment, so I don't check my emails. And I told Tony I'll be on Sunday, but he rotated me for Saturday as well, which I didn't see until this morning when Tony reminded me. I apologize. Sorry, Jake. Go on.
It's okay, Bennett, but if it happens again, we'll burn your house down.
Bennett, you didn't just say you're retired. You're far too young to be retired, surely.
Well, I've had a rough
these bankers.
I've had a rough last 10 years here, and I've been in Hong Kong and Canada. We'll come to that in a second. And this one's a good delivery from Potts, and Southee on the back foot just plays it dangerously. The ball rolling back, no chance of a run. I was going to say, no, I'm retired at the moment. I've got 3 young teenage boys, and I can't afford to do it much longer. This is my 3rd year. I have to get back into some kind of work after the summer, but I'm having a ball of a time. I do apologize if my line here is a little bit kind of lag, because I'm in the south of Wales, and internet connection unfortunately is not that great for streaming.
It suits me. I'm in Melbourne, and I'm more or less synced with you, so it's just the rest of the world that has to put up with our slight lag.
Oh, this one's good delivery. Potts just getting some awkward bounce there, and Southee negotiating that, although not comfortably enough, goes out of the short fine leg area, and the batsmen go through for a single. Matt Potts is really bowling his heart out, isn't it, Ian?
He is. I'm so impressed. You know, I hate to draw comparisons, they're always invidious, but Ollie Robinson would not have been bowling like this in the fourth afternoon of the test.
And he would have done a first inning spell, perhaps the first session, like we've seen him. Poor old Ollie, he really has good temperament, good skills, kept Stuart Brown out of the team, didn't he? When he was in full floor potty, his one's overpitched. And this one's driven again. Again, he's taking his... Is he worried about the current that would come again? He's just taking his hand off like in the Indian Premier League that we've seen, the one-handed sixes. Not called for in a test match though, Ian.
His fluency is diminished, I completely agree with you. Can I very quickly ask, how do you pronounce your surname, Bennett? I'm intrigued by it.
Have a go.
Olegasegram?
Olegasegram. It's of Sri Lankan origin.
Olegasegram.
Yes,
okay.
Indeed. Sri Lankan origin it is. We've got long surnames. Fortunately, my parents kept a nice English first name. I'm thankful for some of these Sri Lankan names, long first names and long surnames. But you can call me Bennett, call me Ben, anything you wish for, as long as it's me.
I love it.
And you've
been playing some cricket during your.
Yes, indeed.
We'll get on to that. Yeah.
That's all. That's a shortage delivery, and Blundell is trying to swing it.
What an odd shot!
Nowhere near the line of that ball, Ian. That is terrible shot that was.
I mean, you know, when a player takes the long handle, it's just an airy waft that an under-12 player would play. He was nowhere near the ball. It was all ends up. It was just suicidal.
Yeah, he looks very cluttered in his mind at this moment in time.
Yes, agreed.
I think there's no clarity on what he wants to do. This is just kind of ruining his momentum and the hard work that is built up on poor old Blundell. Let's see what that gets on with. And here he comes. It past this one's better played, nicely watched and defensively rock solid, making sure there's no gap between bat and poor bat, and goes back to the bowler. 305 for 7 over number 101, lead by 274. Blundell 72, Southee 2. Messi.
Brian 001 sends us a list of the latest official NHS list of COVID symptoms, which includes within it an aching body. So
I think we're due a change, guys.
Yep.
So
okay.
Hendo will go to ball by ball. I'll be on socials, and Bennett will stay on to summarise.
Indeed, I will. Ian and Messi, lovely to sort of do this in with you. Hendo, I just need a message to you before Hendo. Yeah, I'll catch you soon. Sorry, Hendo.
Yep.
I was just wondering if, you know, the second session later, if you can swap with the ball to ball by ball.
Okay, we'll have a word with that.
Sorry.
He's bowled him, has he? Oh, yes, he has. I come on straight away, and Jack Leach technically got him out, but I'm claiming it. Bowled leg stump, Southee goes. That was a lovely ball. It just kept on going. It was the old style arm ball, and Southee is gone for 2.
Brilliant delivery. Hendo, what's with this? Sorry. Hendo, I envy you, Hendo, because when I came on to ball, it's almost like a New Zealand supporter. It was a 6th, the very first ball I came on air.
Oh, yes.
You come on air, and it's a wicket. What's with you, Hendo?
Well, to be fair, Bennett, I have been on all morning without taking a wicket. So
I am
due.
I'm grateful to you, Bennett, for that 6 as well, because I got to use my favourite 6 jingle.
Lovely.
I also hear what you're saying about Sri Lankan surnames. I have a friend who I doubt is listening, but I knew immediately that she was Sri Lankan because she's called Randula Karunaratne, and so my years of watching cricket have gone, Karunaratne, that's a Sri Lankan name, isn't it? And she went, yes, it is.
I just normally go on the number of syllables. If I can't actually pronounce it, it's probably Sri Lankan.
Well, indeed, Randul is not bad, but there are lots more longer names, the first names that comes with it. But we're very renowned for our surname.
Well, Chaminda Vass has got an enormously long name. If you actually give him his whole identity, hasn't he?
He's got about 6 or 7 initials.
Yeah, that's right.
Let's jingle up the new batsman.
That's Neil Wagner. He's my boss, and when he takes 5 wickets in an over, it was murder.
Well, things have changed a little bit. It was all New Zealand for the morning and for the first part of the second session, but now England have fought back. They've taken 3 wickets now, 305 for 8, and Jack Leach has got a 3rd, And I am so pleased for Jack Leach. He really has become the bowler that we know he can be in this innings, certainly in this test match. He's just been given a bit of confidence back. In he comes to Wagner. Wagner defends out into the offside. Leach is keen to go after it himself, but he leaves it in the end to Jonny Bairstow, who's somewhere between extra cover and mid-off. It's a lovely ball. There were plenty of revs on that. So Tim Southee rightly thought that it might spin a little bit. He left a bit of a gap, and then it took out his leg stump. Defended on the front foot, Wagner. Back to Leach, and there is no run. It caught Billings on the shoulder. He was in a bit of pain for a while after it came off the stump.
And it's just a confidence, isn't it, Hendo? You can see him coming in ball to ball. It's just a confidence factor there. Sorry.
Yeah, that one kept a bit low, actually. Wagner went to drive it off the back foot and then was grasping at it. Just for a moment, I thought he might have got a little thin toe through to Billings. You had to take it very low down.
With the number of revs on that Southee dismissal, it almost drilled a hole in Billings' shoulder.
Here he is again over the wicket to the left-handed Wagner. Wagner just drops forward and defends with quite hard hands, though it must be said. It must be worth putting a man in front of him at silly mid-off, I would have thought.
I agree.
I don't wish to jinx it as well, but there's 2 wickets left, and if Jack Leach takes them both, he has 10 in the match.
Oh,
10 in the match, absolutely. Well said, Jacob.
I'd love to see that.
Which, for an England spinner, is, well, rare.
But he's just
unheard of for a while, let's put it that way.
He's taken so much undeserved criticism in my view. He's in again. Quicker one just outside the line of off stump.
There's a appeal!
Huge appeal!
It's given!
Well, no, hang on. The umpire's not giving it. He's walking across to the other umpire. Erasmus is walking over to Kettleborough. So I'm not quite sure what they're thinking of here. Certainly went through to the keeper, didn't it? It's a case of whether he actually got an edge on it.
And did the keeper catch it? He looked like he could have fumbled it, and I think they're checking the fair catch.
They are going to have
it could have even been a stump, I would have thought, if it moved out, if it's not a catch.
It was very close to the off stump, wasn't it? I mean, they're all hugging Sam Billings, so
the soft signal is out.
I think it's
So I think they're saying he got an edge. They're just checking the catch.
He got an edge, and it went. I think they're pointing to his breastbone, so he sort of knocked it up like a footballer on his breastbone, and probably.
It's his moment of glory there for Sam Billings.
Absolutely. Yeah, there's a definite edge there. He goes up from the gloves to the chest, I think.
Oh, in his side-on angle.
We can't see it from there because Wagner is blocking us. We need to see it from side on. Here we go. Even from the side on, it's not looking that good.
Yeah, got an edge.
He's definitely got an edge. There's no doubt about that. So we just wait to see whether Billings has, one way or another, hung on to it. Oh my goodness, he got very lucky.
It's between his legs.
He's got it. His legs.
He's got it.
He's fished it out. He's fished it out. And there it is.
It's out.
Wagner's gone.
Oh, he's gone.
Leach has 4.
He's absolutely gone. Yeah.
I'll just jingle up that.
New Zealand lose their 9th wicket.
Here we go. He's only one away, Hendo. He's only one away.
Oh my word. Well, hang on, look at this. Because he's got 5 wickets in England for the first time in the first innings. He could get a 10-fer for the first time here. And it would be thoroughly well deserved in my case, my opinion.
Twitter, get on this. When was the last time an England spinner took a 10 wicket match at home?
That's going to be a good one, isn't it?
Graham Swan sometime
people
back.
will say Swan on the basis that he was the good bowler.
Yeah.
I don't know if he ever got a 10-wicket match at home.
Gentlemen, a quick question for you both. I mean, if Foakes doesn't recover for the next series with his injury and all that, Bairstow, I mean, do you think we should have given Bairstow to keep just to get some, get some practice and momentum in case we go in with Bairstow and perhaps bring in Harry Brook? Is Sam Billings even the next option for the wicket keepers? But
well, it's a strange one, isn't it, with Sam Billings? He's come in because there's been no one else there, really. I mean, they weren't going to go back to Butler in the Ashes, and he came in for that one. I was a bit surprised when I heard he was running up to Leeds today.
Indeed. I would have gone the Bairstow way because that gives us the option to perhaps bring in Harry Brooks and see what he's made of.
I don't know whether it has anything to do with the fact that because he's come in as a COVID substitute, he has to do exactly what it says on the tin, and he is a wicketkeeper.
He doesn't have to keep, but they've chosen for him.
Exactly.
To keep.
They think he's better keeper than Bairstow, don't they?
Perhaps.
And they perhaps don't want to tire Bairstow out on the basis of what he's got to do, may have to do in the second innings. 305 for 9. Suddenly,
that's a good point, Hendo. I think that's perhaps what their reasoning behind it. Sorry, I kind of sidetracked you there.
274 is the lead, and 4 wickets have gone down quite rapidly. Once one went, there's been a bit of a cascade, but Blundell is still there, and it remains to be seen what his approach is now. We know what the approach of Trent Boult is going to be, so I imagine it'll be quite similar. There'll be some shots played. Just the one slip. The field is well spread. Potts is in. He's come down the wicket. He's swung it into the onside, straight to mid-wicket, who's not all the way back. Jamie Overton is probably about 2/3 of the way back, if that. And I think they've decided against taking the single.
Blundell has been quite unsettled for a while now, and do you reckon that's because he didn't have much faith in the last two batsmen, Wagner and Trent Boult? He's just lost his focus fully, didn't he?
A little bit. I think, I just think he loses a bit of security having Daryl Mitchell at the other end. Potts in again, 24th over from him. Bowls a lovely ball.
Ooh.
Gets that to move off the pitch and beats a man who's on 72 from 151 balls. All ends up really. Lovely
That's
delivery.
A very good delivery there indeed. It was outside the off stump, on the off stump, and almost sort of held his line, didn't it, as it went through?
Yeah. It really was an extraordinary lucky catch by Billings behind the stumps. It went through his hands and then through his legs. He clasped his thighs together as tightly as he could and then had to pick it out the back of his thighs. It was almost as if he laid an egg. And, all's well that ends well, as someone once said. That's hit him on the pad. I think it's probably going down the leg side.
Down the leg.
Yeah, I think so. Potts is suggesting that's where it would have gone.
And there's a good opportunity for Sam Billings. He's been left out of the white ball squads as well, I see. I mean, he's been around. He played a test match, but he was, in the previous series. Unfortunately, I thought, he maybe have given a little bit more opportunity in the white ball sides, but he's not been picked.
It's a tricky one. I mean, you've potentially got, you've got Josh Butler obviously in the white ball side. They would be playing him as a batsman, and certainly in the ODIs, he got 100, didn't he? Was it last year against Australia?
Not long ago.
Yeah.
Not long ago he had 100 in ODIs. Anyway.
Potts in again, onto the back foot goes Blundell. He just drops this down towards slip, looking towards Boult, and hoping for a response from Boult. The response he got was no, I don't think we can run there, so there is no run. Let's have a little look at this. I think we can call this a mini collapse, because what were they? 268 for 5, I think, something like that. So it's 4 wickets have gone down for about 40 runs. And Jack
Leach this has been the ever familiar story, hasn't it, Hendo, of the New Zealand setup? They lose quick wickets at the beginning, a huge partnership in the middle, and then they crumble down like a bicycle stand. When one cycle goes off, the whole thing sort of leans on them. One by one, they crumble down. So these two have been like the mountain that stood against England. Unfortunately, the others have not chipped in too much.
He's down the wicket and he smashes that through the covers. It's a very good shot from Blundell. He's got it away to the left of mid-off and he picks up 4 runs.
That's a beautiful shot. He came dancing down the track.
I do find it curious. He's got such a crouched stance, hasn't he, which looks uncomfortable. But he frees up the hands really well and he lets the ball come to him as well. I think that's one of his major strengths. Lets the ball come to him, and if he is getting forward, he's trying to get a long way forward as well.
He plays very well within himself, doesn't he? He knows his strengths and he knows his limitations. So he's not hugely talented, but he plays well within himself.
And that's a lot of grit. He's down the wicket again, and this time it's a slower bouncer from Potts, which completely foxes him. He's unable to get anything at it. That said, a little bit harshly, I think, Richard Kettleborough has ruled that was high above the head and should be considered a wide.
But he came dancing down the wicket, didn't he? How could you possibly call that a wide? This is my 2 pennies there. But anyway.
Yeah, I think he did come that long way down.
And he did, look at that.
It is well over his head, and it probably would have been above his head had he stayed still, to be honest.
He's not even in the frame.
So we give that one to Kettleborough. He wins. In again, looking for the Yorker. Again driven, more or less with one hand. Didn't look like he'd got the timing, but somehow he has it. Speeds away from the man at mid-off, and it's a second boundary in this over from Blundell.
It's been very, very useful runs for New Zealand.
314 for 9. The lead moves to 283.
We've got a couple of socials. Brian Barish confirms what I was saying earlier. Absolutely. He said, "Don't worry, Jacob Jaffa. I didn't forget my best friend. I just only had so many characters to use. You've been a great help." Well, thank you, Brian. You are indeed my best friend.
I don't think I've been a help at all, because I don't think I've been on when Brian's been on. So I was left out quite rightfully.
O'Neill Harris says, "Who should Leach thank for these wickets? His new captain, the groundsman, or Gary Naylor?"
Well, I think it's Gary Naylor's pep talk, isn't it, really, that's done the damage.
Joe Grover says, "Oh, please get those wickets, Leach, not for your sake, but to prove how much utter bobbins Naylor spouts."
Well, we do know that he talks utter bobbins. Or sometimes talks sense. Every now and again, there's a fair bit of bobbins. Trent Boult's going to face his first delivery from Leach, and he just waits in the crease and, without any foot movement, angles the ball out into the offside. There is no run. We might get an early tee here, mightn't we, if we lose this wicket?
I'll jingle him up after this ball.
Leach on 4 for 62. Can he get a 10 for? He bowls to Trent Boult, who in that ugly fashion of his somehow manages to end up getting the ball back to Leach, and there is no
How
run.
does he speak, or play the horn, or clean his teeth, or even yawn?
Here he is, and he's driven at that one. He's shanked it rather behind square.
Really small.
The small mouth one straight to Jamie Overton, and there is no run. Blundell 80, Boult yet to score. Leach 4 for 62, halfway through his 32nd over. He's in, bowls, finds the edge. Has he got a catch this time? Joe Root has put down another catch. I mean, for goodness sake, how many chances can you miss at slip and still be fielding there? I mean, honestly, okay, a couple of times he's just been standing in the wrong area, but he's also put a couple down. It's maybe just short of him to give him a little bit.
It's a hard one.
At this level, you would expect to take those catches, and he's not the first one that is missed. That's certainly catchable.
Has he bowled him? No, he's found his way through. He's appealing for LBW. Edge? Erasmus is not interested. Jack Leach saying, "Is it an edge?" and seems to have got a reply in the positive from.
It may have been a drop catch. It may have been a drop catch. I think it's off the bat.
Possibly. We're still waiting for the DRS timer to run down. Stokesy is looking for some guidance and doesn't really get it, or if he does, he decides against reviewing.
Can inform you, we don't actually have a jingle for 10 wickets in the match.
There we go. There's a challenge for you, Perko Mog, who I know is not listening anymore. Leach in, bowls, and forward comes Boult, comes off the thick inside edge towards Overton at backward square leg, and there is no run. 314 for 9. The lead is 283.
Brian Barish has sent us a picture of a very nice looking cricket field, saying "my office for the day." Peter Lloyd says Moeen took a 10 for at Lords against South Africa in 2017. Dave Wood, cricket friends. I think an in-between is reference to me and Brian Barish. The Light Roller says that was a middle wicket I didn't need to see. Meanwhile, wickets are tumbling. Peter Lloyd says tea isn't scheduled until 15:59 today, as we're making up time from yesterday. And we're joined by a couple of people on YouTube. Suter, who says I had the audacity to call Blundell lucky, and also says that 440 or something, 3 above 300. I think that's requiring the chase. Praful Solanki says, wasn't sure, but loving this channel.
Oh, great. Onto the back foot goes Blundell. Defends Matthew Potts. Straight back down the onside of the pitch for the bowler to stoop and pick up. And he's still running in as fresh as a daisy as
he has been Hendo. Hendo, I'm going to ask you, what do you think of Jamie Overton? And, his knock now, has that put a bit of a headache for the selectors? Has he done enough with the ball to warrant his place?
Probably not. I mean, it's a great innings, but we do see this from players occasionally. It's not going to do it every time. Goes wide of the crease, Potts down the leg side, in fact. Billings comes across and takes. When you've seen a guy bat that well at number 8, you really want to get him in the side, don't you? Because it just gives you that little bit of extra lower down the order. I think there's a difference between what Overton has done and what Matty Potts has been able to do in that number 8
because the thing is, if you consider if Anderson was playing instead of him, we have Potts batting at number 8.
Exactly.
And then we've got Leach, Anderson and Brock. That's a long tail.
It is quite a long tail,
somebody there who can bat. I mean, that's why they were keen to bring in Moeen Ali, weren't they? Anyway.
Yes, Potts in again, bowls, keeps a little bit low, tucked away down towards long leg, but Blundell has decided that he's going to keep the strike or take the strike for now, and so he turns down a possible single with Boult at the other end.
But things, Hendo, with Potts bowling as well as he has now, I think then if you're going to play play someone like Overton, he'll have to play as third seamer if you're going to play 3-1. Which means, they'll have to play either Anderson or Broad if they're playing Potts as well. What are your thoughts on that?
I certainly think against India they'll play Broad and Anderson, unquestionably, I would have said. And then beyond that, we've got Stokes in reserve. We don't know quite what his physical situation regards bowling is. He bowled 3 overs yesterday. Potts in, and down the wicket comes Blundell, plays a really clever late cut and pierces the field despite men in the deep and picks up another 4.
That's an excellent shot. He knew his placement. Sorry.
Yeah, sorry, Benny. You just got to leave room for jingles when 4s are scored.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I didn't realise that.
Otherwise, all wickets or new batsmen. There's always a little gap just to get a jingle.
Otherwise, we miss your wisdom. Your wisdom gets drowned out, so we don't want that.
Because sometimes I'm looking at the screen and I can't see what you guys are doing. Like Tony always puts his hand up, so just to make me aware of it. I apologise for that.
No worries.
So I was going to say that shot was an exquisite shot because he placed it. He bisected the fielders there, and he was well in control. He knew exactly where he wanted that ball to go. So great shot from Blundell. Keeps the strike as well.
He did well because it was a ball very close. And although he came down the wicket, it was a ball that was really tight to him to cut, but he still managed to do so, and he got the placement quite right as well. So he moves on to 84, 318 for 9. The lead is 287. It gets more and more intriguing by the ball. We're going to have some slips now. We're going to have a proper first slip. Not really. 1.5 slip.
Yeah, I think first slip, yeah.
First slip and third slip. Well, and now third slip's coming out.
My feeling is that first slip traditionally is a little bit finer than that and a little bit deeper than the wicketkeeper. But things may have changed in terms of the way
every single run, Hendo, is like a gold of dust. Sorry. Every single run is like a gold of dust here for New Zealand.
It is. He bowls him down the leg side and he tries to flick it on its way, does Blundell, but makes no contact through to Billings. There is no run. 318 for 9. The lead 287. What is the time now? It's about 3:30, so we've got another 29 minutes till tea. Will England be expected to come out, if a wicket was to fall now, would they be expected to come out for 15 minutes before tea?
Ooh,
these days,
probably,
they seem...
yeah.
Well, technically yes, but I've seen a couple of times in test matches of recent vintage in which that law hasn't been made to stand, and they've taken an early tea,
especially since this is within 10 minutes of the original tea schedule.
You do wonder what they might do here. Potts then in to complete his 25th over, and he goes back looking for the ramp shot, and he's got it up and over the slip, and wicketkeeper very cleverly played. 4 more to Blundell, who is just going along in boundaries at the moment.
The number of the day. Who could ask for more? The number of the day is 4.
He went way outside his off stump, was followed by Potts, but still managed to lift it up and over the keeper and the slip.
As I was saying before, Hendo, I think he's a very intelligent cricketer who plays well within himself, and he's using the pace of the ball to play square of the wicket. So he's not, he's just using the pace of the ball and just playing with toying with the field. So very clever thinking. And he's looking good for a century here, as long as he can stay there for a bit.
Well, you can't say he doesn't deserve it. He's on 88 now from 161. Leach is desperate for a first 10 for in test matches, and we are desperate for him too.
On that point, Josie Oakes says he still thinks they should have picked Parkinson, and Arsenal Concept says in 2013, 4 years before Moeen Ali, Swan did take a 10 for at Headingley versus New Zealand.
Oh, thanks for that. Yeah, we forget everything on this programme because we do so much. Down the wicket comes Trent Boult, and he swings that away all the way along the ground. There's no one out at deep mid wicket, and now he's joining in the 4-fest.
It's a very confident looking shot there, Hendo. He did just there.
The way you get shot for crossing the boundary.
It was a pretty good shot. He got his legs out of the way just about and followed through. But he's an entertaining batsman and he will hit the ball.
He just loves to give it a whack, doesn't he?
He really
enjoys his cricket with the bat in hand or ball in hand or in the field. He's a character, isn't he?
Absolutely.
I love watching him. He's competitive. He enjoys his cricket always with a smile.
Yep. 54s in the innings.
The
to go with
smiling
1-6.
assassin.
Can Leach undo him though? He's down the wicket. Bowled him.
He's got 10. He's got 10.
Jack Leach has 10 wickets in the match for the first time at home or away. 5 for 66 to go with his 5 for 100 in the first innings. What a performance. Gary Naylor, if you're there, dare you raise up and speak your name. 326 all out. England need 296 to win, and we wait to see whether they'll be forced to come out before tea.
Let me just
Jacob,
let me
good
just
thinking
jingle
there,
those.
Jacob. You did start this about the 10 wickets, didn't you?
Yeah.
When he was on.
On social media, Joe Grover says, "In your fucking face, Naylor," and Jeff Perkins makes a hilarious pun with Day of the Jack L.
Yeah, I like that. I like that so much, Perko. I might use it in the Smaximum next week, so I'm just warning you now. You might want to trademark it. So England will need 296 as Jack Leach again, for the second time in this match, can lead his team off, holding the ball aloft. And he's getting applause from Brendan McCullum, who must be behind this rejuvenation of this Somerset all-rounder. I think I'll call him Somerset's all-rounder. He's a very good batsman, a very solid batsman. And, well, we're in an intriguing position, are we not? Again?
We are. They've taken tea, and England will need, what did you say, 290?
296.
296. That is very, very chaseable with the amount of time left in the day. As long as England bat, and I'm sure they can.
Well,
in the recent Bazball era, then it should be chaseable. Joe Grover says, "Oh no, my opposite neighbour has stuck the cricket on again. Time to break out the binoculars and camouflage."
I don't want to know about your dubious habits, Jay. Let's have a look at the bowling figures then. Stuart Broad, none for 63. Jack Leach, who opened the bowling, 32.2 overs, 5 for 66. Potts, 3 for 66. They both bowled really well. Overton, 1 for 61. Stokes, 4 overs, none for 30. And Joe Root, of course, got a wicket. 6 overs, no maidens, 1 for 29. Although when he did bowl today, it was pretty filthy stuff, wasn't it? So, New Zealand, 329 and 326. England, 360. Will need 296 runs to win. It's a good game if your name is Tom. 350s for people called Tom in this match so far. Tom Blundell's got 2 of them. Tom Latham has got another. Have we got any Toms in the England team?
No.
Tom Curran, not
Tom
playing
Curran,
today.
Yeah, well, it might be a struggle to go and get him in the team from now on. But yeah, I think let's just.
I think the key will be Hendo, sort of to weather the thunderbolt storm from Trent Boult in this evening session, because see with the gloominess, a bit of overcast conditions, he can be lethal. I think if we go in tonight without losing too many wickets, maybe at least 1 or 2, not more, I think we'll be on the driving seat. But losing more wickets today is going to put a dent in the hole.
Yeah, I mean, it's impossible to expect those kind of tactics that they've used in the second innings at Trent Bridge, the first innings here, when in some difficulties, to actually do it every time. It's not going to happen every time, and we may be being misled in thinking that it will, but it does make it more intriguing. It does make it more interesting that that you now think if England are 51 for 6, they may not be all out for 60. They might actually go on and still get 300. So it is, it has changed the optics a little bit, I think, on this, and it should be a fantastic chase. But are you saying we're getting tea first, are we?
Yeah, it's tea now. So we'll stick some.